All right, we are live, folks. What's going on? Welcome back to another podcast. Um, so we got a lot to talk about here today. There's a lot of topics to discuss. A lot of great questions, both anime and IRL, and controversial, and all kinds of topics you can imagine that were asked today. So I appreciate that. If you guys have been around here, you know how it goes. I'm gonna let the people know that we are live real quick, and we shall begin this in quick succession. I'm gonna let the people know that we are live. By the way, join my Discord if you haven't already. It's in the description below. What's going on? Awesome. Thanks for coming in, brother. Thanks for coming in. I'm going to let the people know we are live. But yeah, join my Discord if you haven't already. There's debates take place. Sometimes there's server-wide events, like movie night, stuff like that. So if you want to be part of that Discord and talk to me more often, click the link below and join the Discord. But before we get into the questions, make sure to hit that like button, folks. It's really appreciated. Let's try to get this one to 30 plus likes. The more likes, the higher we go up in the algorithm. We get more eyeballs, more interactions. It's a win-win for all of us, so make sure to hit that. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the sub button as well. But let's get straight into these questions, man. Actually, a new fan today. Love your stuff. Appreciate it, awesome. Appreciate that, brother. What's going on, Phantom Redbeard? Thanks for coming in, brother. All right, but let's begin. A lot of good questions were asked today. First question that was asked. So this one, I think it's pretty contentious. So we have Tobirama versus EMS Sasuke. All right, so this is a quite contentious one, I would say so myself, based off my observations of the Naruto fandom. It's pretty divided, but let's get into what my take is on this. So it's important to preface that the respective version of EMS Sasuke we are talking about will actually greatly alter the winner of this matchup. So some people would wonder, what do you mean the version of EMS Sasuke? And let me explain what I mean by that. So, beginning of the war arc EMS Sasuke is relative, right, to Edo Itachi, right? Edo Itachi and EMS Sasuke had relative success to Sage Mode Kabuto, right? So continuing on, where was it? Also, I think another thing that kind of implies Tobirama's superiority is simply him flexing his chakra and Sasuke having some sense of danger when Tobirama said, "I'm going to teach you a lesson." Right? So again, that's not concrete 100% foolproof evidence that Tobirama is superior, but it's clearly an implication that's being made there. So I would simply say that also adds to the idea, or to the notion, that Tobirama is superior at this point in time, beginning of the war arc. And the fact that Tobirama was able to have some pretty impressive feats, I guess, against an unstable Jubito, right? One that barely awakened and was barely getting a hang of his abilities. He was able to tag him. I guess that's impressive. I don't know if EMS Sasuke at the beginning of the war arc has anything similar to that. There's just a lack of feats for the beginning of war arc EMS Sasuke. But if we're discussing end of war arc EMS Sasuke, at this point he's relative to KCM2 Sage Mode Naruto. And they were both battling a more powerful and a more stable Jubito, right? So they were having more success. And at this point, Jubito blitzed all the Hokage in quick succession, with Naruto and Sasuke seemingly being the only ones that could create any sort of hope of defeating stable Jubito. So he clearly has more success and is clearly at least somewhat implied to be superior to every Hokage, and him and Naruto are essentially taking the mantle as the top combatants for the allied shinobi forces, right? So that's what I would say for that. So it really depends on what Sasuke you're speaking of, because it's pretty easy to deduce that Sasuke and Naruto get stronger as the war progresses, right? We look at Casey Naruto from the very beginning. He's struggling with Nagato, and then by the end of it, he's almost pressing a stable Jubito who's leagues above Nagato, right? So there's a clear power cliff, if you will, that takes place for those two. So that's my answer to that. Again, it's all contentious. I didn't use 100% foolproof definitive proof. It's kind of impossible to do so because there isn't enough empirical evidence to really do that. But you can make some solid rational deductions based off implications made, or based off the most probable implications made. Right. So that's my take on that. What's going on, Fixing Geoduck? What's going on, Ken Rock? Thanks for coming in, brothers. Continuing on. Here's an interesting one that someone asked. So Konohamaru from Boruto, right, the Boruto era one, versus Asuma. Interesting matchup. So this is the best I could do looking into the empirical evidence and trying to make rational deductions from it. All right, so comparing the feats of both combatants is the best way to conclude the winner of this matchup, despite their lack of showings, right, on the grand scheme of things compared to other characters. Asuma's most impressive feat was his taijutsu exchange with Hidan, where it was competitive to say the least, with Kakuzu's intervention being a big reason why. Asuma fell to Hidan's hand, right? Kakuzu intervened towards the end of that battle. What's going on, Death? What's going on, Sean? Thanks for coming in, brothers. And for all you guys that came in, make sure to hit the goddamn like button, all right? So it's highly appreciated. It really is. So make sure to hit that like button, folks. All right, but continuing on with what I was saying. So bare minimum with this feat, Asuma is relative to Hidan, with I would say him being inferior to some arbitrary degree, but still being relative. Now Konohamaru, right, now we're breaking down his feats here. Konohamaru was able to contend with a full power bloodlusted Jugo, who was able to, for you guys that don't know, somewhat tank an attack from the 4th Rate Kage during the 5 Kage Summit. I'm not implying that it was a full power, full speed attack. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the very fact that he was able to tank an attack in general for someone, you know, that has the caliber of the 4th Rate Kage is impressive to say none the least, and kind of speaks testaments to his durability. So keep that in mind when discussing Jugo here. Right. So hence I believe that alone is sufficient to rationally deduce that full power bloodlusted Jugo is most likely able to defeat Asuma to a significant degree. It's clearly arbitrary. It's hard to quantify. Hence Konohamaru, who contended with this individual, who I would say is relative to say none the least, and with Asuma clearly not being relative, would most likely defeat Asuma. So Konohamaru would most likely defeat Asuma based off the empirical evidence provided, and based off the best rational deductions I could come up with here. So appreciate the like spike, folks. I see the jump in likes. I appreciate that. You guys are goats for that. And again, for you guys that are new to this, any super chat questions are prioritized, so I stop what I'm doing and answer yours. I put it on the screen for you guys that are new to it, and any super chats are greatly appreciated. It all goes back to the channel nonetheless, so just keep that in mind. If you want your question answered right now, I stop the show, answer your question, you know, acknowledge your goat status, etc. But continuing on, here's another good one that I think is discussed quite often. So fused Momoshiki versus End of Shippuden Kaguya. Right. I think Konohamaru being the new Kakashi or Team 7 captain was interesting. Yeah. Alright, so continuing on, fused Momoshiki versus End of Shippuden Kaguya. So this is my analysis of this. This one can be answered relatively easily with the empirical evidence provided about the Otsutsuki clan. Right, continuing on. Base Momoshiki clearly gives off the notion that he looks down on Kaguya when questioning his enemies about Kaguya's whereabouts. Basically looking down on the woman and saying, where is she? Where is this bitch at? Like, that's basically what he's saying when he's asking about her whereabouts. Pretty clear based off his, you know, his arrogant tone when he brings her up. Like, oh yeah, this bitch is fucking below me, you know. That doesn't imply that, you know, he's a superior in base, but it does imply some sort of confidence in the event that he would have to confront her. You could counter me and say, well, he has Kinshiki by his side. Fair enough. But it's a rational deduction that could be used. Now, here's a more definitive piece of empirical evidence, since I will acknowledge that one's not the most solid. There was a tablet that we observed, right, that indicated the power hierarchy of the Otsutsuki clan, with Ishiki at the top. We have Kaguya and base Momoshiki relative, right, in the same level, and then we have Kinshiki below that. Right, so we're talking again about fused Momoshiki. So this allows us to rationally deduce that base Momoshiki and Kaguya are relative. Right, if we have this tablet implying power, right, we have this hierarchy being displayed, then simply put, base Momoshiki and Kaguya are relative. So continuing on, to counter the possible rebuttal someone would use here, they would say that just means Kaguya before her exponential increase in power, according to Black Setsu. So they would say that Kaguya that's being displayed on that tablet is simply the Kaguya before she gets the exponential increase that Black Setsu explains during her battle with, you know, Team 7. So this is my counter to that. Kaguya's outright fear, right, that she got from disobeying her clan to the point where she even resorted to creating an army kind of implies relativity to someone like base Momoshiki. So furthermore, putting all these puzzle pieces together, this allows us to further claim that fused Momoshiki, right, fused Momoshiki is above Kaguya to some significant degree as well. Hence, fused Momoshiki scales above End of Shippuden Kaguya, more than likely. I'll say that. More than likely. Alright, let's see, read some of your comments here. Alright, you guys are just discussing here. I do think Kaguya was an interesting character, but the way she was brought out was poorly brought up. Exactly. Very bad. I would say very poorly. Very poorly. Most definitely. Who would you say are the top 5 lightning style users in all Naruto? Sasuke, easy. Kakashi, probably with DMS. Who else would be up there? Lightning style. Trying to think of all the characters that use lightning style. Can't really come off the top of my head, but those two are definitely up there. If I remember more, I'll answer the rest of the 3 spots. But those two, Kakashi and Sasuke, easy. But continuing on. Again, if anyone has a super chat, I'll stop what I'm doing and answer it right away. So, this is actually a Dragon Ball question. So, I'm glad someone asked this. Do you think the scaling of Beerus compared to everyone else is a bit redundant since everyone keeps getting ridiculously stronger? That's a great question. That's a great question, and this is my take on this. This is the way I look at it. It definitely seems that in general, there are numerous retcons that take place when it comes to Beerus. We can think about it rationally, right? So take this into account. A good example is the statement in the Battle of Gods movie that Beerus used 70% of his battle power to fight newly awakened Super Saiyan God Goku. Right? 70%. That's quite a large amount of your maximum power. That's what we stated in that movie. But then, let's jump to the Broly movie. Goku states something along the lines of Broly might be stronger than Beerus. So what does this allow us to imply? It allows us to imply that someone many times stronger than Super Saiyan Goku is relative to Beerus. Yet Beerus needed 70% to fuck with Super Saiyan God Goku when he just awakened the ability. That seems very inconsistent, and it almost seems like there's a most definite retcon that has taken place. I think you can easily rationally deduce that. So it's definitely an inconsistency, and it definitely leaves us at odds with how powerful is fucking Beerus. Because if we take, the statements made in the Battle of Gods movie, then Broly should fucking smash him. But if we take the statements made in the Broly movie, then they're relative. It's very, very confusing. It's very inconsistent. Now, this is the reason why this happens. I actually read an interview by someone that was involved in the process of the new movie Superhero, which I actually finally saw, by the way. So, one of the executive producers had an interview and kind of stated something along the lines of that Toriyama and their writers enjoy keeping things vague to leave open the possibility of narrative storytelling. Right? They have the narrative storytelling freedom. So that's a smart strategy and all, but I think they should at least try to be consistent with aspects, especially individuals' power levels. Because that specific instance that I pointed out is problematic. We have a guy that's using 70% of his power to fuck with someone that's astronomically times weaker than Broly by the end of the Broly movie. Yet, Goku states, Beerus might be weaker than Broly, implying relativity. That's very problematic to me. And I understand Toriyama's thought process. He likes to leave the possibilities open, right? He doesn't want to give too much specific detail because that limits writing possibilities. I understand that, but at least keep the power scaling consistent. You know what I'm saying? At least do that. To the bare minimum. I think that's not much to ask. Overall, Dragon Ball Super was pretty good. Was it goated compared to Dragon Ball Z? I don't know about that, but it is good. The movies are good. The superhero movie was good. I finally saw it. About damn time. It was cool. But yeah. Alright, so let's read some of the questions on here. Are you using Wark? I'm actually... Okay, never mind. That's something else. I think A, superior to A is the correct opinion. Most definitely. Who would you say that... Okay, you heard the question. Kishimoto was rushed at the end of the war. That's why there's a shit ton of inconsistent feats, and why the Kaguya clan was way more than less wrote off. Okay. Daria's pretty good with lightning style, right? I would say now Boruto. That's someone I forgot about. Thanks for reminding me. Darui now would probably be up there. Yes. Arguably, maybe even Boruto with the the karma. I believe he has some lightning abilities. Especially with the fucking karma, with the ability to use Momoshiki's ability and then some. Shit. I mean, he had to be up there as well. So those are two guys I'd add. Leaving things ambiguous invites a lot of intrigue and creates a lot of discussion with the fandom. Exactly. So this is what I've said about that in the past. It's a good observation. It's a marketing strategy. Because I think Toriyama, at one point, said, fuck power levels. You know, he said, fuck that. That's why I don't give numerical values to represent these individuals' power levels. I want a polarizing story. I want people coming back to the manga, reading it with intrigue and mystery to allow for public discourse and public interest. If you give all the answers out, it's boring. Oh, this guy has a 2.4 billion power level. This guy has a 1 million power level. It's easy who's going to win. But if you leave all that shit vague and simply just give feats that only give you somewhat of an idea of what someone's capable of, it makes it much more interesting, much more discourse, and it's a brilliant marketing strategy. That's exactly why Toriyama does it. That's exactly why the Boruto writers do what they do. It's a beautiful strategy, I'm not going to lie. It's the reason why it's so popular. Truly. So, have you ever all played Ghost of Tsushima? I've heard of it. I haven't played it. All right, continuing on with the questions. I think that was all the power scaling best questions. There wasn't very many today. There's a lot of IRL questions. So I'll answer a few of you guys' questions here, and then I'll get to that. By the way, folks, for you guys that came in, hit the like button. And any all super chats are goated. So any that are given and all that I've been given in the past, truly appreciated for sure. So I appreciate all the super chats. All you guys are goated, and all the ones that will be in the future as well. Whose Kekkei Genkai do you think is most interesting and versatile aside from Sharingan and Byakugan? That's a good question. Kekkei Genkais that I can remember. Kimimara's up there, of course. Let's think of some other ones. Kekkei Genkai. It's hard to beat Kimimaro. I know someone here was commenting Kimimaro. That was a really good one. He is a pretty sick one. It's very unique. The properties are very unique, and you don't really see it ever again. It's probably Kimimaro. Haku's Ice Release is really cool in my opinion. It had a lot of potential. Yeah, fair enough. What are your thoughts on the similarities between Toneri and Mitsuki? Is there some hidden connections where we don't know about? I think narrative storytelling freedom could allow something like that. Maybe there's some filler in the future that, shows Orochimaru using Toneri DNA to create Mitsuki in his lab or some shit. But I do see the similarities, like as far as their appearance, as far as the whole Tensagon and Mitsuki Sage Mode comparisons, the parallels there. I think there could be. I definitely believe that there could be an avenue to kind of amp Mitsuki's lore, if you will, and his power level. If you want to go there, I think it's very, very possible. The Otsutsuki are literal plot devices used for Kawaki, for Boruto, for these fucking cyborgs. It's a literal plot device. That's what the Otsutsuki is. And I don't really mean it in the bad way. It's just the truth, Alright, so no one has any other questions here, or... Well, keep asking your questions, folks, but I'm going to start answering these miscellaneous questions. A lot of good ones. So, someone asked, how do you think the Dragon Ball storyline would change if Cooler came to Earth instead of Frieza and his father? Interesting. So, this is my take on this. I believe it is contentious, but I would deduce that based off Cooler's performance against 2 Super Saiyans and the high success rates he had, compared to Mecha Frieza getting fucked up by future Trunks, who in that point in time is weaker than Goku, clearly. I would say that Cooler probably would fuck Trunks up. I think that would be my prediction. I believe that would be the case. Especially his ability to replicate his body. That would overwhelm Trunks, to be quite honest. If he's anywhere relative to Goku's level at this point in time, to the current Goku that, was around during Trunks', victory over Frieza, then it would be an ass whooping. That's my take on it. Isn't the Renegon and Kekkei Genkai? I picked that one for my favorite. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Probably that one over Kimimaro for sure. That one's goated above all else, to be quite honest. Alright, what's your Akatsuki ranking? Mine is Obito, Itachi, Orochimaru, Kakuzuki, Sami, Sasori, Pain, White, Zetsu, Data, Conan, and Hidan. So I would have Obito at the top. I would have Itachi second. I would most certainly not have Orochimaru above Pain. So Pain would be third. And Kakuzu most certainly not. Then after that, probably Kisame empirically has the most impressive feats that we could see based off the naked eye. Probably Kisame. Then probably Sasori. Oh shit. Stop the fucking show. We got our first super chat by the GOAT himself, who clearly has a bag. Sir Jeets. Really appreciate it, brother. Greatly appreciated. Alright. Let's put this on the screen. You guys know the drill. You guys know the drill. Goats gotta be acknowledged on this stream. Simple as that. And I shall answer your question, Sir Jeets. Alright. Where is it? Get the right picture in. Put it on the screen. Yes, sir. Alright, it's not that one. Just gotta find the right one. Not that one. Where are you? Give me a second, folks. Alright, got it. Alright, Sir Jeets' question. Let's not waste any time. Screen. Facts. Let's see what Jay said today. Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Fuse Zamasu. So, obviously the problem is we're going to have to assume that Super Saiyan 4 Goku is canonical, clearly for the sake of this discussion. Because he's not canonical, I haven't thought of it much, but because you paid, I'm going to do some analysis. Let's see how he scales for Goku versus... Let's see here. GT, Super Son Goku. Let's go to powered stats here. Let's see here. Give me a second here, folks. I gotta do a good analysis for this. It's because it's worth it. Super Saiyan 4, power and stats. Let's see here. Well, his attack potency, at least on Versus Wiki, is pretty high. Universal level? With Dragon Fist, I have a hard time believing that. And if anything, Fuse Zamasu became a concept. Well, that's later on when he started going into different timelines. If we're talking about that one specifically, Fuse Momoshiki, I would say probably empirically, right? It makes sense that he would scale above. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I just have a hard time believing he's universal. Even if we presuppose that it's canonical, I don't think, now this is headcanon, I don't think Toriyama had the intentions of Super Saiyan 4 Goku being universal and being above someone the likes of Super Saiyan God Goku. Clearly I can't prove that because it's not canonical and it's a different universe in its entirety if you want to be specific. But if we're presupposing that we can deduce the quantification of Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I highly, highly doubt that he was implied to be universal. To me, it was kind of a gradual increase in power, even in the non-canonical literature like GT. So I would say Fuse Zamasu most likely would win. I'm sure there's rational deductions to indicate Super Saiyan 4 Goku being universal. But yeah, because I know there's some things with the villain that Goku faced in this when he faced Omega Shenron, especially with his 10 times Kamehameha. Which maybe you could scale to that level if you backtrack and see the feats that were accomplished, the statements stated. Again, I haven't really been involved in GT since it's non-canonical anyway, but my rational deduction would be Fuse Zamasu most likely takes the victory. So if Super Saiyan God Goku is universal, if he's shaking the foundations of the microcosm or macrocosm with Beerus just simply punching, imagine what Fuse Zamasu could do. So. Alright, Kakazu gets slammed by pain. That is absolutely true. Why is Conan so low? Probably lack of feats. I see the questions here. Alright, so let me answer the next question here, and I'll answer some of your guys' questions. Keep asking. Sir G's, thanks again, brother. That's a goated moment. You have many of those on here. Appreciate that, brother. Continue on. What would happen if Pain went to capture the Eight Tails in the Hidden Cloud Village instead of going to the Leaf? Great question. Great question. So let's answer this one. We can safely conclude that Pain at full power scales above Killer Bee, considering how Edo Nagato did, and how he manhandled two perfect Jinchuriki simultaneously during his time as an Edo, right? So, furthermore, considering how the fourth Hokage and Killer Bee are deemed relative at many points throughout the storyline told, right? They have a clash where they're like near full power, and I think Killer Bee, if anything, overpowers them or something like that. It's implied relativity, bare minimum. So, because of this, I would deduce that no one in the Cloud Village would be able to deal with Pain's axe. Not Killer Bee, not the Raikage. You know, I deduce based off the relativity established between Killer Bee and the fourth that Pain just scales above them, especially if he's not fatigued. Let's say that the events didn't go the same way he did at the Leaf Village, where he used a chaotic Shin or Tensei. You know, he would be at full power, have all the Pains by his side, have all the hacks at optimal levels. It would be a problem for the Cloud Village. Now, the best win con, the most possible one for the Cloud, would be if theoretically A had the speed to blitz the passive Pain, right? If theoretically that was the case, but I think that can be countered by the fact that someone relative to himself got manhandled, which was Killer Bee when Edo Nagato was around. Again, some people will counter, well, what if the power levels of each Pain is cut to some arbitrary degree because it's not all powers combined into one? That's an argument you could make. It's more headcanon-y. Again, the Edos are nerfed to some arbitrary degree, to be fair. You know, Nagato was crippled for the most of the entirety until he got a hold of Killer Bee, etc. So I think empirically, Pain's victory seems the more likely outcome of this scenario. So, Super Saiyan 4 technically more durable than Super Saiyan Blue. Yeah, I'll admittedly say my knowledge on GT is lackluster in comparison to my knowledge for Super Saiyan for Dragon Ball Super, I'd say. But yeah, I'm sure there's arguments for Super Saiyan 4 being scaling extremely high. Alright. I'll have to argue with you for B and A being relative now. I would say if his power is constant, I would agree that B is equal to KC Naruto is stronger than Pain said it himself. Well, I mean, the very empirical event that took place doesn't really solidly support that notion that KC and Naruto is stronger than Pain, just because he stated it. Again, you could just argue the Edo gives some arbitrary degree of nerf, right? And if we compare that Edo Nagato crippled to a full power Pain with the 6 pass Pain, there's a good chance that they're at least relative to that Edo Nagato. Just so it's contentious, I'll give you that though. It's not concrete. Alright, see some of the questions asked on here. What are your thoughts on the legalization of physical suicide? Should it be legal? Physician-assisted suicide, excuse me. I believe that even offering a way out, in most cases, shouldn't be an option. You know, if you have a terminal illness and you're living in constant pain and there's no way to reverse it, then I understand the choice. But if it's someone that isn't in those, you know, those parameters aren't meant for a specific person, then it should not be offered. It should not even be encouraged. It shouldn't even be remotely mentioned as an option for someone that's struggling with whatever besides a terminal illness of constant pain. So I believe the legalization is wrong unless parameters have been established to where only people that are terminally ill could do it. Okay, maybe then I understand that. You know, so. Let's see. Okay, continuing on. Alright, folks, next question here. Someone asked, where's the question? What proof is there that the Tensagon gives you access to nature energy? I guess this is an interesting question. To my understanding, it doesn't. It gives you a similar type of boost in physical attributes. But from my understanding, it doesn't give you access to nature energy. To my understanding, Tensagon is very ambiguous to this day. So, what about its legality with inmates and people on death row? If you mean simply the death penalty, I'm against that as well. I think morally, we're not any more righteous than if we're taking people's lives. I understand people like Ted Bundy, Dahmer, they're scum of the earth. I understand that, but I don't think it makes us any better to take someone's life. You know, even someone that's like that's as bad as, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy. I think inherently it's immoral. If anything, if you want to be pedantic and really have them suffer, leave them in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. Guarantee they're gonna wish they were dead anyway. So, hey, do you agree that Kishimoto may have had Itachi versus Sasuke fight appear too early? Like, do you think Itachi and Sasuke would have fought after the Killer Bee fight? Should have fought after the Killer Bee fight. Well, maybe a little bit more development would have made sense, but I think the very narrative, thematic aspects that Kishimoto wanted was to display Itachi's heroism, and also his heroism and his sacrifice. So him allowing himself to be defeated, which he was, he allowed himself to be defeated, and to just give off enough effort to make it seem like Sasuke was really beating him. I think that was a very important thematic aspect. I do understand some people wanted to see a competitive fight where Tachi's really pushed, but it just wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? So it just wasn't the case. As far as do I agree that should have happened, I would say not, because the very events that transpired I enjoyed greatly. You know, but I wouldn't mind seeing an alternative. You know. All right. So next question, and I'll keep answering your questions unless someone donates like Sir Goat or Sir Jeets. Do you think Kawaki or Boruto in the flash forward is the antagonist? All right. So based off the current narrative, I would deduce that Kawaki would be the antagonist, just based off the very ideology he is implied to have. Right. So continuing on, despite his admiration for Naruto, right? Despite that admiration, he seems to be against the old ninja way, and he believes that God-given power, such as the Otsutsuki power, is the best way to achieve power. Right. We see it. He's very hesitant to train as a shinobi. He opened up a little bit to the idea, never really got on board. He's just against the very idea. He wants power. You know, very similar to like Sasuke when he went rogue. Very similar. So because of this and his seeming conviction, he seems to be someone with strong conviction, someone that's going to be hard to change, maybe like a Madara or like a Sasuke before the end of Shippuden. You know, he has a similar aura and personality about him. I would predict that he will die on this hill to protect it, in the hopes that it will protect those he cares for, such as Naruto and Boruto. So to me, it's going to go like this. Kawaki's going to go to Boruto and say, this is for your own good. I'm beating you down because my way is the best way. That's why he's going to be the antagonist. Boruto's going to be the one protecting his father's legacy in the old ninja way. I think that's going to be what happens. He's going to protect the legacy of Naruto. And Kawaki is going to say, you know what? I care about Naruto, but this has to change. You know, this isn't working. We got to, you know, Naruto and Sasuke get their ass whooped by Ishiki. Naruto nearly died defeating Ishiki. You know, it doesn't work anymore. We have cyborgs that have war potential of Hokage Naruto in his prime. Like, there's a problem. That's Kawaki's mind right now, and I think it's going to continue to be. So the clash of ideology in the flash forward will be Boruto as the protagonist, seemingly, and Kawaki as the antagonist. That would be my prediction on that. Alright, continuing on. I do agree Super Saiyan Blue is definitely stronger than Super Saiyan 4, but I do think Blue doesn't have as much feats of durability. Yeah, if that's the case empirically, the numbers, the feats, then yeah, that's probably the case. Continuing on. So someone asked me, why do people scale Boruto to Naruto when it isn't the same system? Okay, well, this question is obviously presupposing that the system isn't the same. I actually disagree with that. So I would argue it is the same system because characters from the Boruto era are directly compared to the characters around the Naruto era, such as Momoshiki being compared to Kaguya. Two different eras, right? Kaguya is gone, long gone. Momoshiki's in Boruto. So there's direct comparisons between the two. For there to be a comparison at all, you have to presuppose that the system, the power system, is the same, because then you can't directly compare them, because the very parameters of power scaling are different if you don't think the system is the same, you know, and there's direct comparisons. So clearly there is a presupposed system that is still intact in the Boruto era. That's like saying, for example, what we just talked about, comparing Super Saiyan 4 Goku to Super Saiyan Blue Goku. We can't compare them, but there are parameters that we cannot establish because of the difference in canonicity, I guess you could say. One's canonical, one's not. So there's presuppositions we can't make. The very instance that it's different universes or something like that would negate the possibility of us trying to scale them, you know. So that's why I would say it is the same system. All right. Let's see if any questions have been asked. What if Vegeta brought back Nappa and Raditz to be his sidekicks? Oh shit! Stop the fucking show once again. Fucking goat. Sure, Jeets at it again, man. You got that bag for sure. Appreciate that, brother. All right. You guys know the drill. Give me a second. Give me a second. Go at it again. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. All right, give me a second, folks, as I put this on the screen here. All right. One more time for the goat, man. One more time for the goat. Goated. All right, give me a second here, folks. Put this on the screen. Which image was it? I gotta erase some of these images, man. They're in the way. Give me a second, folks, as I find it. Here we go. All right. How about this? Adult Sakura that fought Shin versus Raditz. Interesting. That is an interesting one. Let's break this one down. So, Adult Sakura can be scaled if we're presupposing the same system, which I am, and I think it's directly indicated by the manga itself. Adult Sakura is stronger than War Arc Sakura, right? The same Sakura that tanked an attack, well, not tanked, but survived an attack from Jubidara, right, being like a test subject trying to test his capabilities, and then later on was able to at least react to an attack from Kaguya, who's, you know, leagues above Jubidara, and then was able to tag Kaguya, despite what you think about whether she blitzed her or not, was able to damage Kaguya after the exponential increase, right before she got sealed, right? That was a nail in the coffin for her. Sakura is stronger than that, and there's always the implication that she has chakra stored in her ceilings on the top of her head, and a diamond on her head. I think there's definitely storage in there that she has not utilized, and I think even against Shin she didn't really utilize it. She wasn't pushed to that extent, so I think her limits are not even known. Now Raditz is definitely around small planet level, a power level of I believe 1500 around there or so, if I'm not mistaken. Adult Sakura, you know, is tagging individuals that and able to survive attacks from individuals that are at bare minimum large planet level. I mean, you could easily scale Kaguya above that if you presuppose that, you know, the eternal true-seeking orbs that was going to absorb the dimension they were in was, you know, a solar system in size, which seems very likely considering there are celestial bodies on the panel, in the panels of, you know, the dimensions that were being displayed, being absorbed by Kaguya. Because of that, I would say Adult Sakura, empirically, probably scales above Raditz. So I would say probably Adult Sakura, as crazy as it sounds. And I don't like saying it either. I hate saying that Sakura beats Madara. I hate that shit. I do, but it is what it is. She tagged Kaguya. And EMS Madara struggled with Hashirama, who's inferior to Jubito, who's inferior to Madara, and Jubidar, who's inferior to Kaguya, who's inferior to exponentially times increase Kaguya. As simple as that. So probably Adult Sakura. As painful as it is for me to say that, and it really is painful, very painful. All right, continuing on with your question, Death. What if Vegeta brought back Nappa and Raditz as sidekicks against and between Buu Saga and Battle of Gods? Well, you could presuppose that, you know, Raditz and Nappa were higher on the totem pole as far as Saiyan, I guess, Saiyan popularity and Saiyan, what's the word I'm looking for, royalty, right? Compared to Goku, who was a low-class Saiyan. I would say their development would be similar to that of Vegeta and Goku. By now, I would deduce that they would have Super Saiyan God on their side. You know, they'd have that ability. And I would also deduce that maybe they even have Blue, Super Saiyan Blue, if we presuppose that the development's even similar to Goku and Vegeta. So, in this hypothetical, if they were around during the Battle of Gods, at this point no one has it, right? Goku's the only one that can awaken it. I would say it would go pretty similar. I think they would be kind of useless, like Vegeta was, against someone of Beerus' caliber at this point in time. You know, Goku was the only one that was even able to contend at all, and that was a Beerus not going all out. So I would think they wouldn't do much. But that would be useful as soon as they learn God Ki, right? Just like Goku and Vegeta. Then they would be useful in the future. Alright, continuing on, folks. Fat base goat tanks correct self smacks chest. Facts. Do you think Sakura deserves more credit considering she got no powers handed to her throughout the series and gained her strength purely through determination and training? That's true. And I think she does. Despite how much I dislike her, she did increase leaps and bounds. She went from dealing with Sasori, right, crying like a useless individual during the Land of Waves arc, to punching Kaguya in the fucking head. An exponentially times stronger Kaguya. Dodging attacks from Kaguya. Able to survive an attack from Jubidara. Like, definitely has reached new heights. And we can't just disregard that due to our bias, which I have deep bias against Sakura, and I can't disregard that. You know, it is what it is. So. Let's see. Alright, so questions here. Someone asked, is Hedon God real? So is the God Hedon worships real? So this is my theory. I have two theories for this. My first theory is that Jashin is simply a conceptual entity that represents death to the cult that worships it. Right, so Jashin is simply a conceptual thematic aspect of this cult, and they're trying to maybe worship the concept of death itself, and they do it for the malevolent and sadistic satisfaction that they get from it. Or the other one would be like, the other theory would be something along the lines of maybe it's a Shinigami that appears before during the performance of the Reaper Death Seal. Maybe that's Jashin. I mean, the motherfucker takes souls, you know. So maybe that could be Jashin or something similar to that. It's very possible. However, this is just added. The writers, I believe, haven't gotten very specific on it because they want to leave that for the future when they're able to, you know, really delve into the history of Jashin, which I think would be very interesting. Where do all the hate from Kakazu come from? I mean, disingenuous arguments for him. I know the rat muddy the waters, but I think so. I should try to. Even Seth put him high in the Tatsuki list. I mean, he's mid tier. Not bad placement. He's not top 3. Fuck no. It's not possible. It's basically unprovable. Unless you use bullshit scaling that just doesn't suffice. Alright, guys. Alright, folks. I'm having internet problems again. My apologies. I just got a message that I did. I think we're good though. We should be. Alright, continuing on. Oh shit. Another donation from the goat, man. Yeah, we have to give Sergis an award one of these days for being such a goat. Deadass. Give me a second, folks, and I shall answer these other questions. Alright. Put it on the screen. The goats. Another goat super chat from the goat himself. Give me a second here, folks. Again, all super chats are appreciated, folks, so I appreciate it. I'll go back to the channel. Alright, give me a second here, folks. Not that one. There we go. Alright, one more, and anyone can answer this, but who would win between Ghost Rider or Spawn? So, the problem with these characters is that they're composite characters, but for the sake of answering, let's look at both characters. These are not characters that I am exactly an expert on, but let's see here. Let's see where they scale. Let's stick to the Marvel Comics version to make it interesting. Let's see here, because there is also a movie version, which I think they probably scales much lower. Wow, low multiversal level. That's insane. Zarathos has been shown as somewhat comparable to Mephisto in an unrestricted. Whoops, it disappeared. An unrestricted Ghost Rider once defeated Mephisto. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Alright, let's look at Spawn. Where does he scale? Let's see. Power and stats. At least multiversal level, likely higher. That's for his durability. Multiversal level, likely higher. Became one with the mother. Wow. Speed, omnipresent. All right, let's compare Ghost Riders here. Speed, massively faster than speed of light. Striking strength, low multiversal. Durability, low multiversal. It seems Spawn, in most aspects, scales higher. Again, Versus Wiki isn't perfect, but they seem to have a pretty tedious system. So I would assume Spawn would take it. He seems to scale higher. The feats that are actually indicated are pretty impressive as well. I didn't even know they scaled that high, to be honest. That's insane. Alright, folks, continuing on. Once again, thanks for the super chats. Goated. You're goated, Sergi, so I appreciate that, brother. And any super chats at all, greatly appreciated. Let's see here. Continuing on with the questions. So this one is one someone asked me. How long have you been power scaling and debating? I don't know if I've actually answered this before. I might have, but to answer it again, I've been power scaling for about, I'd say 2 years now, and debating for less, probably like a year and a half or so. So I guess I'm relatively new to the game, I guess you could say. But as soon as I got into that world, it quickly became appealing to me personally. The ability to assess, literature, canonical literature of any fictional-based reality, and then marshaling your arguments, right? Connecting it to the real world, to mathematical concepts, to joules of energy output, AP, so things like that. It's very interesting stuff. So it appealed to me pretty quickly, to say the least. All right, folks. What got me into power scaling? Honestly, it was like Seth's videos, Six's videos, Swag's videos. Those guys' videos really got me into the world of power scaling. And then I started to try to gain my own knowledge as well on the topics at hand. So those two specifically, Seth and Swag for sure. All right, folks. It says we're having internet difficulties. I apologize for that. It's a shame. I thought I fixed the issue, but all of a sudden it hits. All right, folks, let's continue on. If I freeze a lot, let me know. I'll try to make an adjustment if possible. All right. Ryu Death Note versus Shinigami and Naruto. Oh, shit. It seems that Ryu is more sentient. He has more like ability the ability to use rational deduction compared to fucking the Shinigami, which just seems like an entity of natural energy, like a force of nature, so to speak. So. All right, let's continue on here. Seth and Swag, my friend, got me into power scaling. Seth and Swag are definitely goats, no doubt. Goats of the community and of power scaling in general. Oh shit, $2 from Ken Rock. I appreciate that, brother. Thanks for the donation. Appreciate that. Difference between canon and continuity. So continuity is a more general term, right? Continuity is like the exact timeline you're specifying. So a good example is, I guess, maybe during the Black Ark there are different timelines, if I'm not mistaken. Those are different continuities of time, right? Time never ceases to advance, right? It never ceases to advance. And because of those are time continuities, right? So like an alternate universe. Now, canonicity is simply whether the literature being presented is canonical to the main multiverse of any such said fictional-based reality. That's what canonicity is. Like, for example, going back to the Black Ark, there are several timelines, but they're all canonical, right? They're all canonical literature. Something that you can't compare would be something like, a filler from a filler from Naruto to an actual canonical episode that represents a panel of the manga. Right? It's technically 2 different continuities, but it's also non-canonical. Right? Oh shit, $20 from Sean. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that a lot, brother. Appreciate that. So yeah, but to answer your question, you could have different continuities and still have canonical literature, right? But you can't necessarily have this non-canonical literature and compare it to canonical literature. So that's basically the answer. All right, folks, you know how this goes. Appreciate that, Sean. Appreciate that, brother. I'll put this on the screen real quick. You guys know how this goes. All right. Put this on the screen, folks. Give me a second. All right, let's see here. I believe that's the right one. Give me a second, folks. Whoops, I actually replaced one. Alright. Didn't mean to do that, but I'll keep it that way, I guess, for now. Android 17 versus Dispo, Tournament of Power. It's a good one. So Dispo is an individual that I would even say someone like Frieza didn't take very serious. You know, Seth made a good point in one of his videos when he was discussing Frieza. Frieza is a very calculated and deceptive individual. He knows how to scale people really well, and he's aware of his own limitations, especially now that he's willing to put more work in for it, such as when he went into the time chamber recently and got his Black Frieza form. Now Android 17, I mean his ability and his, I would say, feats during the end of the Tournament of Power put him quite high. You know, he's one of the last men standing. You know, he battled Jiren. He was able to withstand a fatigued Jiren's blast, I believe, when he was protecting Goku, if I'm not mistaken. He was using his shield. That kind of implies where he's at. I might just put Android 17 above Dispo because of the empirical evidence during the Tournament of Power. I mean, to do anything against Jiren, who's even remotely trying, is a hell of an accomplishment. It's a hell of an accomplishment. That's why Frieza can scale so high, too, in Tournament of Power, if you really want to go there. So, I would say Android 17 most likely. For sure. Alright, let's continue on. Let's see here. Alright, so there's more questions down here. Unless someone asked over here, let's see. Alright, so let me answer these questions that have been pre-asked. Who would you say are the top five Kinjutsu users in all of Naruto? Good question. Naruto, of course. Orochimaru. Or Naruto because of the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Orochimaru because of the Edo Tensei. Tobirama because he was the creator of most of these. So that's as simple as that. My guy because although it was never considered a Kinjutsu, it has been called a forbidden technique. So for the sake of answering this, I would probably say my guy's up there. And then I would say Sasuke. Let's be honest, he could probably use Izanagi, Izanami, every forbidden jutsu, and Uchiha knows, he probably knows at this point. So probably those 4 or those 5 would be up there. Alright. By the way, folks, make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. It's greatly appreciated. Alright, let's continue on, see if there's any other questions here. Give me a second, folks. Let's see. Just checking something as far as the internet is concerned real quick. I don't know why it's being inconsistent. Alright, let's continue on. Let's see. If you really do a battle of endurance versus speed, yeah, but Android 17 because he's proven to withstand a lot. Yeah, basically, here's the thing with speed, right? We hear these individuals, the fastest people on Earth, but they're not the best fighters on, or not on Earth, but the fastest guy in the universe. But yet, an example in Naruto would be Minato versus Madara. I mean, Minato's faster than Tobirama, and Tobirama was the fastest of Madara's era. Yet he beats the shit out of Tobirama. You know, Hashirama and Madara scale above Tobirama. Yet he's faster. So it's a very interesting concept, you know. Alright. Who wins? Equal stats. Z fighters versus the Konoha 12 Saiyan Sasuke. Oh, the Konoha 12 Smash. Their hacks would be too problematic. Naruto would spam 1,000 to 2,000 clones. Sasuke could BFR them if he wanted to. He has the adequate equal speed because they have equal stats. It'd be a fucking bloodbath for the Z fighters. Oh shit! $2 from the goat Ken Rock. Appreciate that, brother. Oops, wrong one. Sorry about that. My bad. Jeepers Creepers versus Freddy Krueger. I would say empirically, Freddy Krueger seems to have the better feats. He can enter your own mind, into your own subconscious. So that's kind of some mind manipulating type ability, and can make it a reality as far as like damage is concerned as well. So based off what I know of these guys, probably Freddy Krueger. Probably Freddy Krueger. All right. Continuing on here. Any and all questions, folks, are welcomed. So top 5 Sage Mode users, including Mitsuki. Alright, so Naruto, clearly. Obviously, Mitsuki. I think he has a very impressive Sage Mode, even though Sasuke acknowledged it when when Momoshiki and Kinshiki invasion of Earth. Uroshiki said, wow, this guy has something special. You know, he took his Sage Mode. Kabuto, I mean, shit. And he was able to contend with Sasuke and Edo Itachi to some degree. Hashirama, of course, it allowed him to be EMS Madara. And then maybe Kashin Koji. He's basically a perfected Jiraiya. Oh shit! Another donation from another goat. Appreciate that, brother. Phantom Redbeard. Appreciate that. Gotta put it on the screen. You know, $10 or above. Gotta stay true to that policy. Just give me a second here. Gotta stay true to the policy, folks. $10 or above, get acknowledged as GOAT status. All super chats give you GOAT status, but you know I gotta put these on the screen. So give me a second, folks, and I shall answer. See here. Where is it? All right, here we go. Appreciate that, Phantom Redbeard. Appreciate that. You're a GOAT for that, brother. Super 17 from GT versus Super Saiyan God Goku from Battle of Gods. It's a tough one. So, for the sake of answering this thoroughly, let's put Super 17 GT. Give me a second here, folks. So where does this kit scale? Well, these guys scale pretty high, so it's definitely different than GT, isn't it? Multi-galaxy level. After absorbing Goku's 10 times Kamehameha, he became so much stronger he easily stopped Super Saiyan 4 Goku and required the power of a Dragon Fist to be defeated. Versus Super Saiyan God Goku. Again, the non-canonical aspect makes it difficult, but if I had to presuppose that the power system's the same, based off these feats that I'm seeing here, and based off how he scales, I think you'd have a chance against Super Saiyan God Goku. I think you'd have a chance. But Goku does seem to scale to universal at this point. I mean, he's shaking the universe while fighting. I don't think Ender 17 reaches those heights, at least to my knowledge, from what I am aware of. So I'd probably lean towards Goku, but I could see the argument for 17 as well. From what I do remember of GT. GT comparisons to the Dragon Ball canonical timeline is interesting though. It's an interesting rabbit hole to go down for sure. All right, let's continue on here. Give me a second here. All right, let's see here. Any other questions that have been asked? Bar fight: Vegeta versus Goku versus Granola versus Moro versus Jiren versus Dispo versus Piccolo versus Gohan versus Hip versus Broly versus Toppo, Frieza Frost. So it just comes down to who has the most efficient martial arts style. Empirically, I would lean towards, out of these, Jiren, at least implied from Vegeta in the new movie, is implied to be able to maximize his potential. Like he's mastered how to maximize his energy efficiency. So he'd be up there Broly is a maverick. If they were all equal stats, let's say for the sake of this discussion, Broly would get his ass whooped. Obviously, if he has the powers he's capable of, he might beat everybody. Granola at one point was pretty high in the totem pole. So if we're talking about power levels, then it's a good chance that Broly might take it all, or Frieza with his Black Frieza form might take it all. Because he, at bare minimum, scales above Granola Arc Broly, if we're talking about timelines, and we want to stay consistent within the timeline. Gohan has a lot of potential. He's rusty now, though, especially in a superhero movie. He needs a legitimate mental amp to do anything. So, there's that. Alright, continuing on, folks. Alright, let's see if there's any other questions here. Jay hasn't seen Hunter x Hunter. No, I have not. It's on my bucket list. I've heard good things about it. But alright, androids have a limited key, so if anything, if they're relative enough, he would just outlast Goku. Alright, that's a good point. Gohan versus Shazam. If we're talking about movie Shazam, I don't think he even gets close to Gohan. Gohan would fucking fold him. As far as the comic book, I'm not too familiar with Shazam. But yeah. Probably Gohan, as far as mainstream versions of Shazam. One day I'll have goat money. For sure, brother. I mean, any super chat's goated, bro. I appreciate it. You guys are all goats. All y'all goats, for sure. Make sure to hit the goddamn like button as well, folks. Make sure to hit the like button. Definitely should watch, bro. You could binge it on in a day. Yeah, I heard it's shorter than something like One Piece. You know, it's which is like super fucking long. All right, continuing on. All right, so if you had a death note, who would you kill first? So someone asked me this. I don't really have to think about that because I think killing anyone, right, in a way that's not natural would have long-term effects, especially if you kill someone very significant to history, like Genghis Khan or something like that. I mean, the whole population of Asia would change, right, with his genetics being so vastly spread throughout Asia and whatever areas he conquered throughout his time. I'd probably kill someone like a heinous serial killer, maybe like Ted Bundy before he became Ted Bundy. If I knew that he would become Ted Bundy, something like that, where the net good outweighs the net bad, you know, of the effects that would take place. Probably something like that. Someone like that would be killed first. Madara with the Oinoimi. I don't know what that is. Would you be willing to try the Dead Man Waterline manga? A couple of mangas I want to check out, like Chainsaw Man, I think it's called. I heard some goated stuff about that. Jujutsu Kaisen, stuff like that. There's a couple ones in my mind that I would like to read as well. Alright. Continuing on. Alright, so let's get into the Halloween spirits. So there's some questions that were pretty good Halloween questions here. So hopefully my internet stays strong enough to where you guys hear these takes. But here's a good question. In the spirit of Halloween, do you find it plausible that we may be able to bring the dead back to life? So I actually did some research on this to try to give a good answer. So this is a great question because of the fact that our established presuppositions of death are actually still not very thorough according to the peer-reviewed articles I read. So death isn't something that is completely understood. You might think it's, oh, well, your body shuts down, that's the end of it. Not necessarily. Now, continuing on. The exact threshold of when someone is truly dead seems to be very ambiguous, according to what I read, at least from peer-reviewed articles. Most doctors will wait for a certain amount of time, depending on the exact cause and severity of harm caused to someone's body before they call it quits, right? They call time of death 8 p.m. or something, right? So that's even ambiguous. There's a certain threshold of like an idea of like, all right, it's been 30 minutes, he's gone, something like that. But here's the interesting part. Science has tried to explore the limits of death, right? They've tried to explore the limits of death. Continuing on, a good example of how durable human bodies could be was in 2011 when a woman tried to commit suicide in that famous Japanese forest where it happens. So someone tried to commit suicide there, but doctors were able to revive her even after several hours of her being perceived as dead. Right? She had no pulse, she was not breathing. Also, her body temperature was very low, it was around 20 Celsius. So she was basically dead to anyone that has an idea of what they think death means. But thanks to them putting her on what is called an extracorporeal membrane oxygenation machine, she was able to be revived miraculously after hours of being dead. So the body's more durable than people think. It's more durable than people think, and the body can recover from things that you might be surprised by, at least according to the science I was reading. So the idea of death is a very intriguing one. Apparently, the body dies in several parts, with individual organs dying at different times. Unless you get blown up to pieces or shot in the head, or something that dramatic, your body can survive a lot of things. So from my perspective, to bring back the dead, I think it is possible, but I think it's going to be a thing that's very far away, probably decades, maybe centuries before we get to that level. And also, science would have to create methods that help lower harm caused by damage in an efficient way, clearly, which they have already, such as lowering your body's temperature. What's going on, Luis? Thanks for coming in, brother. And continuing on, they would have to limit the damage done from these extreme measures to avoid long-term repercussions, right, such as neurological damage or physical scarring due to the methods that were put in place to revive somebody, basically. So my answer would be yes. I think in the future, reviving the dead, to some degree, I wouldn't say they can get a body that's 100 years down under 6 feet. I don't think that's going to be possible. You're basically a skeleton at that point. But if you've been dead for an arbitrary amount of time and your body's still intact to some degree, the cells are there, nothing's decomposing to a ridiculous degree, I think it'd be possible. I do. In the future, with the right technology. So, Shield of Athena, Hercules' Lion Mane, or the Golden Fleece. Which Greek piece of armor would you want? I kind of like the shield. Shield of Athena is very symbolic, Which race in Bleach would you want to be? Shit. I feel like a good one would be possibly Quincy's. Quincy's are interesting to me even now where I'm at. They seem to have a very high ceiling. But a Soul Reaper, of course, is cool, like a pure Soul Reaper. That wouldn't be bad either. Hollows are interesting. Soul Reapers, if you train, I guess Ichigo's a special case as far as what I'm concerned, with him being able to combine hollow powers and stuff like that. But yeah, let's continue on. Menma versus Pain. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot who Menma is. Let me look that up real quick. It's a name that I don't really think of very often. Oh, okay. It's the one from the movie Road to Ninja. Been a while since I've seen that movie. I would say probably Pain. From what I do remember of the movie, it's been a long time. Real life Edo Tensei vibes. Facts. Exactly. I think we're several centuries, if we were able to live that long, we'd surprise ourselves with what we can accomplish. I mean, imagine someone from the 1800s riding fucking horses and having to mail their letter to their mom that takes 3 months to get to point A to point B, living today. They'd be fucking shocked. Like, I can send a letter to my mom in less than a second via the interweb. I don't have to use a fucking horse to go point A to point B. I could fly in a plane. Like, imagine 200 years from now, let's say we lived down the line that long, what would we be saying about what's capable, what we're capable of now, So, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke isekai into Dragon Ball Z, how would they change things up? Well, it's important if they're equal stats. If they're not, they're fucking fodder by the time we reach the Cell Saga or above, they're basically fodder. They wouldn't do shit. Now, if it's at the very, very, very beginning, Dragon Ball Z, where Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke at their best could contend or beat some of these guys, they would be very, very useful. You know. How far are you in Bleach? I'm around. I'm in the Rancor arc, I believe, and Grimmjow got sunned by Aizen. He said, "Sit the fuck down." And I'm seeing Ichigo train, trying to learn how to use his Hollow ability. I'm around that area, give or take. It's been a while since I've seen him. I have a lot of obligations lately, but I'm definitely getting back on the watching binge. So, yeah. What if Guy had the blessing of Jashin? Is the 8-gate technique technically infinite now? Shit. If that's the case, we might be talking about a completely different war arc. You know, fucking my guy might have killed Jubidar. Because he would keep spamming Night Guy. Because he could just use the blessing of Jashin. You know, the ability to, well, I guess the inability to recover would be negated. That's insane. And he would fuck up Jubidar and they'd win the war. So. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, they all train at the same time as everyone else in Z. Okay, but if their ceiling isn't as high as a Saiyan, they're going to be fodder very quickly. Let's say for the sake of argument, they are, then they would be the top dogs. Naruto and Sasuke have more abilities that are more useful. Like imagine Naruto basically has a cooler ability to replicate himself. And if they're relative to his own power and his potential is as high as Saiyans, he's the top dog, not Goku or Vegeta. It'd be Naruto. Sasuke, if he's relative in speed, would be BFRing every villain. Frieza, Cell, he wouldn't even have to deal with them if he's relative to them in power or above them. But if their ceiling is the same as it is in Naruto, they're going to be fodder very, very soon. You know, throughout the timeline. They might be useful in the Saiyan arc. They might be useful in the Namek arc. Even that would be contentious. Although I think Naruto, at its strongest, probably is above large planet level. But once you get to the Cell arc and the Buu arc, they're useless. Definitely the Buu arc. If you presuppose their potential isn't the same as a Saiyan, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. All right. Continuing on. Feel free to keep asking questions, folks. Appreciate all the donations, by the way. You guys are goated. Appreciate that, brothers. Greatly appreciate it, for sure. All right, continuing on. Let's see, if you could bring back one species from extinction, what would you choose and why? So this is an interesting question. I'll probably bring back one of the apex predators in the animal kingdom. Maybe like the T-Rex. Obviously in a controlled setting where you can't, you know, be let loose and just fucking eating people in the street and stuff. But something like that to observe their nature. Like the top apex predators in history, like a saber-tooth, or a T-Rex, or whatever giant apex predators were out there. So, if Ichigo, Chador, He-Man, Uryu, or Isekai into the Naruto verse, what wacky hijinks do you think would happen? It's hard to scale people in Bleach. It's hard to kind of like, even to assess their damage, their AP, and their damage potential. It's hard to scale them to anything because you don't see any direct correlations. You see them battle each other, hurt each other. That's cool and all, but I can't really scale them. I've seen Ichigo destroy like a large like hill before when he was training with the former captain that he trained with before going to the Soul Society. I've seen some that I can kind of make an assessment of like, okay, he scales to this. It's hard to do it. It's hard to kind of scale them, at least currently for me, based on where I am in Bleach. I've tried to scale them. It's difficult, you know. Maybe I have to look at more of the canonical literature and the manga. Maybe that would help. But I'm just watching anime right now, and it's kind of tough. I would say it's almost impossible to say if they scale to Naruto verse. It's very difficult to say right now. So I would say, if I had to pick, I would say they don't. And I would say they wouldn't be very useful right now. These versions that I know of them. Not like end of Bleach, I'm not there yet. So, but right now, probably not very useful. That's just me from my subjective lens, though, to be fair. So, all right, continuing on. Any and all questions are welcome, folks, so feel free to keep asking them. There's a couple of good IRL ones here that I definitely want to get to. They're definitely good ones to discuss. Let's see here. So, what character has an inspiring mindset and way of life, or a more inspiring mindset and way of life? Vegeta or Madara? What's going on, Luis? Thanks, brother. So, comparing Vegeta and Madara's ideologies and their perspectives and their philosophies, this is my take. I would say Vegeta has the more inspiring mindset, even though both have very good ideology as far as improving one's life is concerned. Clearly, right? Vegeta promotes the idea of stoicism, right? Clearly, as he acknowledges that suffering is inevitable when climbing towards success, right? Past philosophers, ancient philosophers have promoted this idea that suffering is an inevitable event that will transpire if you try to improve your life. It makes sense. You go to the gym, you suffer lifting heavy shit. You go study for a fucking midterm, you're fucking suffering through a tedious task. You fucking, whatever you do that's difficult will require suffering to attain a new level of improvement, you know. So Vegeta promotes that very well. Continuing on, he also promotes the idea that you should never allow tough times and suffering to waver your conviction and ambition. He basically promotes the idea of never wavering, right? The speeches that he's given, right? When he sacrificed himself against Boo, when he was Mind Vegeta, when he was going to sacrifice himself against fucking Jiren and Topo, and these really good moments of inspiration. So honestly, I think every individual, every man should try to instill that kind of ideology. It's not an easy one to instill. It's inevitably going to lead to you suffering on your way to success, but it's inevitable. You can't avoid that, you know. So that's why I admire Vegeta that much. He might even be better than Goku because of his dialogue. Remain my guy versus War Kakashi. I'm assuming you mean reanimated Might Guy, or you mean Might Guy in the War Arc? Might Guy in the War Arc fucks up War Kakashi with 8 gates, if that's what you mean. Oh, if it's reanimated, yeah, he would be able to infinitely use the fucking 8 gates, and then he would fuck up War Kakashi even worse, you know. So it'd be a fucking ass whooping. If we're talking DMS, Kakashi changes greatly. DMS Kakashi washes. Which power system do you think would change our world for the better? Naruto, Dragon Ball, or Bleach? It would. They all have similar parallels as far as thematic aspects, but I would say the most realistic is Naruto, right? Dragon Ball Vegeta is like never fucking quit, right? Like he's almost not human, which he isn't. Technically, he's a Saiyan, right? Bleach has that idea as well, but Naruto's the most realistic, the most relatable in my opinion. Naruto started from nothing. He was ostracized. He was treated like a piece of shit his whole childhood. He was fucking a useless piece of shit in Konoha to the majority of everyone in Konoha. They called him fucking trash. They wish he was dead. He went through real trials and tribulations that are, you know, a lot of people on their way to success in the real world go through. You know, someone's trying to do something difficult. People are gonna laugh at him and be like, "You're a fucking joke. You don't have what it takes. You're delusional. You'll never make it." And that was Naruto's journey for the majority of his childhood and his teenage years until I would say around the Pain arc. I would say Naruto is the best ideology to try and implement. Well, Naruto Uzumaki's ideology specifically. So that would be my take on that. What if Might Guy trained in the time chamber during the Cell Saga? Might Guy is so vastly inferior. He'd have to train for a long fucking time. And I don't think his ceiling's even that high. I think the 8 gates is his ceiling. And I don't think he'd get even remotely close to solar system level to defeat someone like Cell. I think the ceiling is so much lower that it really wouldn't make a difference to a Saiyan, you know, in my opinion. All right, so let's answer one of these questions here. So this is a good question, another IRL question, a philosophical one. Is money needed to make a functional society? Great question. Great question. So this is my take on this. Humans at this point in history have clearly acknowledged that we are inherently chaotic. Humans are inherently chaotic. Leave them to their own devices. There will be chaos. There's no law, there's no structure, there's no order. They will be left to their own devices. So, continuing on. Hence, there must be a system of structure and order to keep humanity afloat and above water. So without a system of trading, which is basically what currency is for, humans would resort to violence, inevitably, where it would result in a more extreme form of survival of the fittest. Now, to be fair, admittedly, we do have a more mellow and subtle version of survival of the fittest. It's called a meritocracy. So we have a survival of the fittest paradigm, I guess you could say, with meritocracy, but it's way less extreme. It doesn't involve one guy killing the other guy for a fucking loaf of bread. It's more so, I'm going to outwork you, and I'm going to earn this resource so you can't have it. That's meritocracy. So continuing on. Hierarchical structures and order is the best way for humanity to continue to progress in a more peaceful way. So we avoid the inevitable violence that would take place if there were no presupposed systems of trading. It would be extremely difficult for there to be peace. There's no order, there's no structure, there's no presupposition coming into an exchange with someone, going to the fucking store and paying $5 for fucking chips or something. If that wasn't there, what system would we have to guarantee peace and fairness as far as exchange of goods? Money and currency is a great presupposition that will guarantee peace to some degree. Clearly, there's always crime. That will never change. But it's vastly decreased by structure and order. So humans need structure. They need to keep themselves in check. There needs to be a system of checks and balances. And currency is one of those. Hence, money does need to be implemented in a functional society, further to be a functional society in the first place. So it's a very good question, and maybe it's not money necessarily. Maybe there's just a system that every member of society is conditioned to presuppose. As long as there's some system of trading, the world will be all right. So all right. See, how would adult Sasuke and Naruto be if they trained the time chamber in DBZ? Naruto's interesting because his ceiling was so much higher than we thought. I think he would reach levels closer to Barry on mode, to be honest. I think he would reach levels where he could fuck with someone maybe in the Cell Saga. Maybe not Cell himself, but fuck with some people. Maybe some of the Z fighters or something. Honestly, his ceiling is much higher than I anticipated before the Barry on mode. That's all I gotta say. What if Android 21 was canon in Dragon Ball? What do you think would change with your inclusion? That's a tough question to kind of assess. It depends on how they approach it. I think she would be impactful, to say none the least, but it depends on how they approach that, and how they make her canonical. Are they going to kind of quantify her differently in the canonical literature? Those kind of questions, but I would say she would be impactful to try to answer that question. What is the best Renegon ability? My opinion. Let's see. Probably the ability to absorb ninjutsu. As annoying as it is, it's very useful. If everything is temporary, why suffer? Why get married? Why put time into life's commitments? Is dating, working out, etc.? Great question. IRL question. So let me try to put this how I can. The reason that things are worth doing is because you can guarantee at least that, one, you'll get fulfillment out of achieving great things or difficult things, and two, you can basically guarantee based off empirical evidence that you're going to make the people around you, you're going to make their lives better. While it is temporary, why not live it to your maximum potential? Why just sit in sorrow or in darkness and simply coast as your life passes by you, as you age, as you wither away? Why would you just sit there, even despite it being temporary? Why? Why wouldn't you try to make life the best you can make it before life passes by you? Time stops for no one, right? It's a temporal dimension that seemingly is infinite, at least to our eye, from our perspective. So why would you just sit there and wallow and wait for the clock to run out? That's extremely miserable, So that's why it matters. If everyone on Earth was immortal, how do you think that would change the world? I think more people would be fearless. I think people would get. So if everyone was immortal, let's assume you mean they don't die from age, right? Let's say they can still get killed, but they can't die from their age. If everyone was immortal, I think the old people would get sick of living. So let's presuppose that they do age, but they just never die. We presuppose that people will get sick of being fucking sticks walking around. Like, they can't even walk. They're being bedridden. 300 years old. Useless. I think it wouldn't be useful at all. Now, if it's immortal to the sense you mean we're in our prime forever, I mean, there's just unknown aspects that I couldn't predict. But I would say and try to predict that if you could live in your prime forever, the world would be a much better place. Imagine, for example, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs in their fucking primes for 300 plus years. Einstein in his prime for another 300 years, 400 years. Technological advancement would be vastly faster because these guys have longer times to acquire knowledge and to develop their own theories and ideas and make the world a better place. So it would be an amazing thing if that's your definition of being immortal, right? So it really depends on the exact definition. Okay. What if Naruto had Goku's mentality? When in the series does Rock Lee surpass Might Guy? Pretty early. Maybe by... Well, the question is, right, we got a power scale Rock Lee. And Boruto, it's highly implied. I think he could use the 8 gates. I would say by then he's vastly superior. By the war arc, for sure, he's above Might Die. Excuse me. That's what I would say. What if adult Naruto had Goku's mentality? He wouldn't be a very good Hokage. He would have tested Jigen like a dumbass, which Goku loves to do, and get his ass whooped worse than he did in the original. Goku is chivalrous yet reckless. Not a good mix. Maybe that's changing now as he grows. Maybe we'll see that in the manga. But yeah. How would it change the story of Goku taught Naruto and Sasuke ancient transmission? Goku, if they were able to use that, it would be similar to They'd be basically Minatos. They'd be able to go wherever they want, kind of like Minato can. Similarly, I'm dealing with a cold right now. Any tips? A lot of water. A lot of water. That's the best tool for anything like that. Is dark times mandatory for growth? Yes. Suffering is inevitable. You can't avoid it. Success, to reach it, you're going to struggle. You know, it's cliche, and the reason it's cliche is because it's true. Suffering is inevitable. Suffering is necessary to build character. Tough moments build character. When you're a pussy, you sit on your ass and you're too scared to take risks, you never develop character, you never improve. That's the truth. So dark times and suffering are mandatory. Yes. You're going to fall on your face and eat shit sometimes. It's inevitable on your way to success. I wonder how much of a powerful baby Kale and Broly would create. Jesus Christ, that'd be the most highest potential individual in the multiverse of Dragon Ball. How come some live in comfort and some live in success? I think it's complacency. I think it's your environment, what you cling to, the ideas that you cling to. Some guys can live an average life, be an average Joe, have an average family. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. They're no more intrinsically. It's not like they're no more invaluable compared to someone that does live successful. Intrinsic value everyone has. As long as you're trying, even if you just want to be average Joe, that's cool. But there's some guys that want more, and it takes more to get there. That the path is more rigorous. So that's just maybe genetic predisposition, environment, nature, and nurture. All those things play a role as to why that is. What if Naruto had the Gomi no Mi? I don't know what that is. If everyone didn't die and stayed in their prime forever, then it would probably should. Exactly. That's another factor that would most definitely take place. If anything, maybe the greatest minds staying on Earth for a couple more centuries will allow us to efficiently live on other celestial bodies. Maybe. Plus accelerating the process of global warming, that's another factor. So these questions, the good part of people being in their primes is, I think answers will come quicker. Because people would be at their optimal levels. Einstein, Newton, Darwin, Aristotle, Socrates, Jobs, Gates, like these geniuses, Elon Musk, like we'd have all of them together. Imagine that, them congregating, them having fellowship and coming up with the greatest solutions in the history of human history. But yeah, those would be worries we'd have to have. And each faction in Naruto had a room of Sprite. What do you think about the biggest growth? If each faction in Naruto had like a room to grow, who'd have the biggest growth? Probably the Uchiha, maybe. The Uzumaki would be up there. The typical Senju, you know. How strong would adult Sasuke and Naruto be if they fused? Now, the question to this would be, how does that fuse work? Does it work like, the Patara earrings in Dragon Ball? Does it work like the fusion dance? If it works like that, they're going to be by far the most powerful individuals in the Naruto history. They would fuck Ishiki up probably. It would be Naruto and Sasuke added together, and then on top of that you have some sort of arbitrary multiplier, right? Similar to like the fusions in Dragon Ball. They would fuck Ishiki up. They would fuck him up. He wouldn't even be a fucking threat, to be honest, because it's their power levels combined, multiplied. That's a gargantuan value. So they would fuck everybody up. They'd be the top dogs. The Otsutsuki would be extinct. The cyborgs would be extinct. Naruto and Sasuke would protect the village forever unless there's some theoretical omnipresent being that comes along. It's the only way they'd be tested. So, how far do you think Broly will go in the current Dragon Ball story? I think he's gonna have his development. I really hope they learn how to. I want him to keep that aggressive, rageful tendency that he has, but obviously I want him to learn how to control it. He has more potential than Goku and Vegeta. I mean, shit, in the superhero movie, they were scared to see him battle because he was going to destroy the whole fucking celestial body they were on because he's so fucking powerful and that damn dangerous. I think he's going to be a fucking force. What I do wonder is, because let's be honest, Toriyama's going to eventually run into, alright, Broly's too fucking strong. Goku and Vegeta are looking like little bitches now compared to him. What do I do? Do I give him some sort of amazing power cliffing moment? An amazing retcon to where they're fucking boosted to new heights? Maybe that'll be the case. Toriyama's gonna have to attack that because Broly seemingly right now seems way stronger than fucking Goku Vegeta, or he has the potential to be at least way stronger. Black Frieza, way stronger. So that's the problem. I wonder if Goku would have defeated Cell if he combined with Super Saiyan with Kaioken. Good point. I think with the right multiplier, theoretically, it'd be possible, right? Because Cell was trying, right? He was sparring with him. He wasn't going all out, but he was trying. So maybe if Goku had a several time multiplier Kaioken at hand, it might have turned the tides. And maybe Gohan wouldn't even have to get involved. Maybe it would just be Goku. But that's a pretty big jump in power, I would say. I don't see why people see good to live on Mars, for example. We don't see people lining up to live in Antarctica, which has vastly more water potential to thrive. Yeah, that's a good point. It's not the most adequate ecosystem for optimal life to prosper. If anything, they would have to be able to replicate these resources synthetically, maybe theoretically, or have filters that somehow extract water easier at a molecular level. Something like that would have to happen because the resources are vastly limited compared to Earth, which is the optimal ecosystem for human life. So for sure. What if Naruto died by Sasuke's hand in part 1? Sasuke would have been absorbed by Orochimaru. Orochimaru takes over the fucking world. He kills Itachi. He optimizes Sasuke's body. Maybe he implants Hashirama cells into himself. He fucking becomes a six-pass character tier, and he fucks up the whole world. That's what would happen probably. Waiting for the joint album of 21 Savage and Drake. Oh yeah, I've been waiting for that. And unfortunately, it got postponed. Definitely can't wait for that. Drake's goated. This might be a weird question, but if every race on Earth had a Kekkei Genkai Naruto, which race would have the Kekkei Genkai? Kekkei Tota. What race would have it? I mean, let's see. It's hard to really say, because then I would have to choose a race, and that would be me implying one race is superior to the other, because Kekkei Tota and Kekkei Genkai are superior genetic predispositions. So to avoid sounding racist, I would just say the people in general with the most genetic gifts would have it. Say that, despite race. Yeah, that's a touchy question. What if the third Hokage killed Orochimaru earlier? Sasuke probably would have came back to the village. He never would have reached the power he did, at least that way. And he probably would have helped Team 7 take out Itachi the way they're supposed to happen. A lot of things would change. What if Konoha kept all the tailed beasts? Which clan gets which beast? Shit. If anything, the top of the totem pole of Konoha would put them somewhere and seal them. I don't think they'd give them to any clan, because that would risk revolt. That would risk the possibility of insurrection. I'd probably say they wouldn't give them to any clan. I think they would keep them somewhere where only the higher ups can access them, to be honest. Do you think dark energy will expand the universe to such an absurd amount, and where it rips the very fabric of space and time itself? Dark energy, right? Like dark matter and things like that, where they seemingly go against our own laws of physics in some weird way. They're not even observable by our own electromagnetic spectrum. The very chaotic nature of it, due to it being so unknown to us, could leave that possibility open. In my opinion, I just think there's things we don't know about at all. I think the limitations to our knowledge is vastly underestimated. We're very limited as far as the outer verse that we come to know. I think all our theories are possible to some arbitrary degree. So, all right, let's read some more questions here now. There's some pretty good ones here that I would like to answer, and I'll keep answering your guys' questions unless someone super chats. Again, you guys are all ghosts who have super chatted. Make sure to hit the like button. And thank you to all the ghosts who have super chatted. Well, this is a good question I wanted to answer. Do you think COVID led to society nowadays exploding into ridiculous ideologies and having all of that built up, but suppressed hate finally came out thanks to COVID? All right, so this is what I would say on COVID and the effects it had on division and tribalism as far as modern society. I believe COVID certainly served as a catalyst for a new wave of tribalism and division, as many were divided on the very approach government and society should take concerning the pandemic itself, which certainly had a snowball effect into other aspects such as politics, which most things similar do. When pressure is placed on a human, it inevitably causes many to become desperate and cling to ideas they weren't willing to let go of, right? They're not willing to let go of these ideas. So such a worldwide event, such as the pandemic, has caused division amongst the masses within modern society, with one side being overly cautious to the point where they're willing to exchange their freedom for security, such as wearing a mask, such as staying in your house, shit like that. They're willing to exchange significant freedom for security. So that's one side of the spectrum. On the other side, we have people that are so conspiratorial and so in such a denying state that they think COVID was a hoax and that the vaccine is poison. There's literally people on that side as well. So we have this side and this side. Tribalism, division, factions of political beliefs. So I would certainly conclude that COVID served as a perfect catalyst for ridiculous ideologies and increasing tribalism, hence hate as well. So it was a perfect storm. Perfect. The social media representation, the social media relaying the message of a worldwide event taking place that's taking lives. The unknown factor of how bad will it be, when will we go back to normality? All this shit led to these factions, to these parties, if you will, and to tribalism. So most certainly. Dark matter was discovered 90 years ago. We still barely know anything about it. On that tangent, do you think that dark energy can possibly move faster than light? If it's going against the very properties and laws of physics that we have pre-established, then theoretically it is possible. It doesn't follow that law, like the very specific laws that it doesn't. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when I read about it previously, it basically goes against basically every fundamental law that we know, besides a certain one. I think it was maybe the law of gravity, one of those. But that very fact could lead to that kind of observation and discovery. I do not, dismiss it from the realm of possibility. Dark matter must be an activity outside 3D. Possibly. It's very possible. Everything's possible with something so unknown. That's the beauty of it. So, most certainly. Being that it doesn't interact with it doesn't interact with our electromagnetic spectrum. That is true. It has different properties that we don't know. Pain or Itachi, who's the better written character? Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Probably Itachi, because there was more on him for that very fact, but Pain was very, very well written. Very well written. Because I'm biased, I'll go with Itachi. Can you go a little more in depth on what if third Hokage killed Orochimaru earlier? Would appreciate your output. For sure. If he killed Orochimaru the biggest threat to Konoha, or one of the biggest threats, would be eliminated. Sasuke would have nowhere to go to post Konoha Crush, I guess, arc. He wouldn't have anywhere to go to. He would most likely stay with the Leaf. The Sound Four, who knows what's going to happen to them? Maybe Kabuto takes over and does what he did before the war arc and becomes Orochimaru himself. You could even argue maybe he'll still want to carry out Orochimaru's will and be like, oh, let's bring Sasuke here anyway. So maybe the Sound Four would still go. But according that's all headcanon. It's all theoretical. I would say at that point he was very, very devoted to Orochimaru. So I would say he would definitely continue on his legacy. Try to add, Orochimaru's modifications to himself. Probably Master Sage Mode like he did in the war arc. But I do think Sasuke would most likely stay. I think there's a higher possibility he stays. He works with Team 7. Naruto evolves. But here's the detrimental part to that. Without that why pushing Naruto, he might not develop the way he did. He might not push himself to these lengths, right? Promising Sakura he'd bring Sasuke back, right? Having the conviction to save his best fucking friend or his brother or whatever. Without that conviction and that why pushing him, he might not ever reach the heights that he did. He might not ever reach them. I think it's him and Sasuke pushing each other would cause them to improve power scaling wise, but I don't know if he would push himself to the extent that he did in the original. I think that's why Orochimaru was there. He was an obstacle that was needed for Naruto to push himself. So I think it would change the development of characters greatly. For sure. Let's see. What if Rock Lee, Neji, Choji, Kiba, and Shikamaru were also under Jiraiya's wing? Interesting. The reason Naruto was the perfect person to be underneath his wing is because he had a ton of chakra. He was his father's son. He had the Nine Tails in him. So he was a perfect candidate to be trained by someone the caliber of Jiraiya. Now, if these guys were under Jiraiya's wing, Shikamaru might be more battle savvy, might be able to use more abilities. Maybe that would be possible. Kiba's ass, I just don't like him. I think he'd still be fodder. Choji's very simple as far as his arsenal. I don't think much would change for him. Neji, he has a very specific kick Genkai. The Byakugan. I don't think Jiraiya would even want him trained him. He's like, you need someone that's like you. Rock Lee, he might learn some shit for someone like Jiraiya. Maybe Jiraiya will push him to new heights. So for some would be beneficial. For someone would it change anything, in my opinion at least. All right, continuing on. Keep asking questions, folks. Super chat questions will make me stop in the midst of the show. Again, thanks for all the super chats. But keep asking any and all questions, and make sure to hit the like button if you have not already. It's greatly appreciated as well. Okay. Another one that's Halloween vibes. What are your thoughts on the recent footage leak from the Pentagon last year on UFO sightings? Definitely interesting. And the very fact that the Pentagon confirmed it, right? A specific legitimate entity like the Pentagon that has a Department of Defense and other military factions confirming this is extremely telling. So I would say this. I believe that this simply further implies the possibility of extraterrestrial life forms in our universe, and it also opens the imagination to the possibilities. Further, like I said, when a legitimate party like the Pentagon acknowledges it, acknowledges a UFO sighting, acknowledges the unknown that so many people are fascinated by, it's extremely telling. All right, Good Kid, Mad City versus Take Care. Mad City was a good one, but I think Take Care just has more hits, empirically speaking, numbers-wise, and from my own subjective lens, I enjoyed it more. But Mad City was very good as well. But I just give the nod to Take Care. All right. So next question, I believe it's probably the last pre-live stream question that I have. What do you base morality off of? What's morality to you? So this is a good question. What is morality? Philosophers have been asking themselves this question for many, 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 many centuries probably now. So from my own subjective lens, I base morality off a template that I would consider very just and fair. The Ten Commandments of the Judeo-Christian Bible is a very good template to morph your moral compass after, right? Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not lie. Those are some pretty good, I guess, values to live by, I would say. So that's a good template. and it kind of reflects my own moral compass. Even just pushing religion aside, I just mean the very template of the Judeo-Christian Bible is what I mean. But continuing on, the idea that malevolent harm is something that should be avoided is a rational one, empirically speaking, because harm only creates disaster for all parties involved. So the net bad outweighs the net good in most cases when there's malevolent harm with evil intent, right? So morality, at least someone that has basic morality, would deem malevolent harm towards someone else or something as morally unjust. And I think it's a very rational deduction. The idea that earning your stripes and not robbing others of their own is also a very rational idea, since it guarantees fairness in an imperfect world to some significant degree. Right? So having a moral compass amongst the masses, having a moral compass, I should say, guarantees fairness to some degree. There's no perfect peace, there's no perfect fairness, but it guarantees it to some high degree. Right? There's presuppositions that are embedded in us all when it comes to morality. Don't kill me. Don't steal from me. Don't beat my ass. Some other ones that are listed on there, but those are some of the big ones, which I think is very fair, a very good moral compass to have, which most do in modern society. Right? It's pretty clear what net bad looks like compared to net good. Someone getting their ass whooped and suffering, someone getting shanked to get robbed, or someone getting killed. Clearly, the net bad farly outweighs the net good. Right? So that's pretty crystal clear. Morality, as far as the big ideas, is pretty black and white. It becomes gray when you talk about things like the death penalty or abortion or things like that. It becomes very, very ambiguous and very gray very quickly. And I wouldn't deem someone morally unrighteous if they're on one side or the other, because these topics are extremely contentious. Morality is not black and white in these cases, in these instances, in these aspects of morality. So in layman's terms, I base morality off the net good that comes from your actions, your intentions, and fairness. That's basically what I base morality off of, to answer the question. But yeah, good question, though. Good question. Let's see here. What if Kakashi was made the Hokage while they were out to get Tsunade? If he was made Hokage at that point in time, I don't think he would do much, because he would just default to Tsunade after she comes, after they convince her. I don't think it'd be a very long-lasting reign. I mean, he'd be like, yeah, sure, you got it. You're one of the legendary Sannin. You got it. So it's probably not much. I don't think he'd do anything significant in that amount of time. Base guy with nunchucks versus Final Valley Naruto Part 1. I mean, base guy with nunchucks, if I'm not mistaken, I believe in base, he was able to counter one of Obito's attacks without looking, right? I mean, that's one case, and you could argue that's just a plot device or whatever, but if you want to revere that feat, he fucks Final Valley Naruto up, even in base, to be quite honest. Yeah. Vampires versus werewolves versus witches versus sirens versus ghosts, demons, scubas. Which is more scary? More scary, okay. I think the variation of demons makes demons pretty scary. Witches can be fucking scary too, even just like appearance wise. But the whole lore behind demons is pretty embedded in modern society, and it's considered scary by most. So I'd probably say demons, probably. Alright, imagine if Drake teamed up with Naruto and made some anime merch within the OVO OWL. That'd be fucking dope. I mean, that'd be a hell of a fucking idea. Yeah. That'd be fire as shit. What if Naruto learned Sage Mode during the time skip? What if Naruto learned Shuriken before the time skip? So what if Naruto learned Sage Mode during the time skip? He wouldn't be as good with it, because if he's barely learning it then. If you mean the time skip from Naruto to Boruto, I mean, if you mean Naruto to Naruto Shippuden, I mean, he'd be a fucking dog by the time we reach Shippuden commences. He'd be able to react to that Kakashi. He'd probably take the belt from Kakashi. If you learn the Rasen Shuriken before the time skip, with Sage Mode, he might be able to beat Heavy Sasuke, actually. The Heavy Sasuke at the very, very, very beginning of Shippuden. It's possible. Not concrete, but it'd be very possible that he could contend with him. The Rasen Shuriken, I mean, he'd be able to take on more opponents than he wasn't able to before. for sure. But the stage mode would be a huge difference. What if Jiraiya trained Naruto in all of Jiraiya's jutsus? It would just add to his versatility. Because I think if he has KCM and all that, that would be his main tool anyway. But if he has the ability to use all these other things, like Toad Stomach and all this other shit, it would just add to his versatility, make him more dangerous. Best reunion we had so far in the MCU: all 3 Spider-Man, Daredevil, or Deadpool, Wolverine. Honestly, for me personally, my own subjective lens, probably all 3 Spider-Mans. That shit was nostalgic. It was goated. It was legendary. So probably that moment for me was the best. When they all met up, that was pretty sick, you know. But yeah. Alright, folks, any questions you may have, Halloween, anime, IRL, conspiracy, red pill, women, whatever, feel free to ask. I'll answer any and all. And super chat questions are prioritized, as always, of course. But any questions you may have, feel free. And make sure to hit the goddamn like button as well. Alright, what if these teams were what we got in canon? Kakashi, Neji, Sasuke, and Rock Lee? Jesus. Kurenai, Hinata, Naruto, Shikamaru, my guy, Rock Lee, Choji, and Kiba, Asamo, Tenten, Ino, and Chino. Shit. Well, Kakashi would have a goated motherfucking squad. Goated as fuck. They'd probably wash everybody in the fucking June exams. Besides Naruto, if he theoretically rampaged. I don't think much would change for Shikamaru. A lot would change for Naruto. I wouldn't have that rival right next to him at all times. If anything, it might harm his ambition, because he'd be around a girl that's thirsty over him, Hinata. You know, he doesn't have Sasuke pushing him, talking shit, and pushing his buttons, and getting him riled, and increasing his ambition and his tenacity. Sasuke would be in a good place. He'd be with fucking a Prodigy, Neji, and Rock Lee, who fucking grinds as hard as Naruto. He'd be getting pushed, no doubt. Neji would be like, you're a bitch. Like, you know how Neji is, especially at the part one of Naruto, who's very egotistical, you know, had all the confidence in the world. He'd be like, you're a bitch to me. I can fuck you up. And Sasuke would be grinding, just like he did if Naruto was there. Rock Lee, too. You would see Sasuke being a Prodigy and Neji and push him more. So Sasuke and Naruto would have the biggest changes here. As far as, so, my guy, Rock Lee, Choji, and Kiba. I mean, my guy might light a fire under Choji's ass, his fat ass, maybe. Kiba's his fodder. I don't fuck with him. He'd be useless anyway. Rock Lee would be the same. You wouldn't have Neji pushing him like that, though, but he'd still be very... He's the type to have ambition, naturally. Asuma, Tenten, Ino, and Chino. Tenten and Ino are ass. That wouldn't change no matter who they're with. Chino... I mean, he has a very specific skill set. I mean, the only thing that these guys could do is teach him to be a better shinobi all around. So that's not someone that really improves with Sensei, in my opinion, at least. Tragic season. Do you think the Lakers are going to be able to trade Russell Westbrook? They better. They better. He's fucking ass. I'm sorry. He's ass. Ass. Trash. You know, I'm sorry. Russell Westbrook he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He had his moments. Broke the record for most triple doubles in NBA history. Cool. But he is ass now. So inefficient. Ball hog. And inefficient. That's the formula for disaster. What the hell are you doing, Westbrook? What are you doing? I really hope they trade him. I really do. What if Sasuke killed Sakura before he left the village? How would it affect the story? Naruto might end up hating Sasuke. The girl that he loved so deeply dies at the hands of Sasuke. We might have a different story here. We might see Naruto rampage and go after Sasuke and kill him. Turn into the Nine Tails. And then everything just goes to shit after that. Everything would end badly. When did you know that Naruto was going to beat Sasuke in the end? So watching it, obviously blindly without knowing the story already. When did I know? Maybe it was just their clash of ideologies when they were talking. Naruto just seemed more confident. He's like, I'm bringing you back, bitch. Like, I'm going to beat your ass down if I have to. Sasuke, I mean, he was confident too. There was just certain moments that implied what was going to happen. It was back and forth, but it wasn't probably until towards the end, obviously, when we see what's gonna happen in the end. That's probably when I noticed. So, Don't Boruto anymore. Technically have Hamura and Togoromo. If you want to be technical, yeah. Thanks to Hinata. If you want to be technical, shit, maybe the chakras can be passed down from from father to son with Naruto. If you presuppose he has six pass chakra, you know, in that case they're fucking six pass characters. So, what if Naruto had Captain America's shield and Sasuke had all the Iron Man technology? Iron Man would wash Naruto if they did fight. Sasuke's technology, Iron Man's technology was Sasuke's genius. Naruto would just use the shield to his advantage, but Sasuke's a legitimate genius. With Iron Man's suits amping him, shit. Psychological horror recommendations. If you really want to have some psychological problems, watch the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary. I mean, any of these serial killer documentaries are extremely shocking. They shake you. They make you think how malevolent some people really could be. Any one of those types of film or media, it's definitely up there. Let's see. Thoughts on Adidas dropping Kanye? Oh, I'm glad someone asked me this. And thoughts on his anti-Semitic remarks. Kanye has a lot of demons, man. He has a lot of demons. He's a genius, though, as far as music, talent, his ability to create products for the world to take in with his music. Definitely a genius. And maybe some of his craziness is part of that, but I know what he's trying to do. I can kind of imply it because I was a fan of Kanye for a long time. He wants to stand out. He wants to let people know you can say what you have to say, but he's saying the wrong shit. Anti-Semitic remarks. What are you doing? Why are you attacking a certain group of people? What's the point of that? Defend the group of people you think should be defended, but don't attack other groups of people. That makes you no different than the other people that are talking shit about you or whatever, right? So I think he went too far. I can't stand behind him on this one. He fucked up, and he's paying the price for it. He fucked up. I think he needs mental help. I'm not gonna cap, maybe because his kids are gone all the time. He doesn't seem to see his kids very often anymore. I just don't know what the fuck's happening to him. He needs help, legitimate like mental help. Not an excuse for what he did. He's a grown ass man. He fucked up, and rightfully so. These companies dropped his ass. You can't just say whatever you want and attack other people and not expect companies to want to protect their image, you know. So, what if Itachi was the Hokage? The Uchiha. So it depends on when he becomes Hokage. If it's before the massacre of the Uchiha, that never would have happened. Clearly, Danzo probably would have been either exiled or imprisoned. Sasuke would have a childhood. What else would happen? Segregation would end amongst the Uchiha. They'd live in maybe not harmony, but they'd live in peace amongst the Konoha civilians. A lot would change. There'd be peace, and a lot of Sasuke's development would change. His personality would probably be different because he would never have a traumatic experience like he did, etc. So, will we ever get a Take Care 2 or Take Care Drake album again? I wouldn't mind it. Scoted, man. I wouldn't mind more similar, rhythms and tunes from Drake. So, I hope so. All right, folks. Let's see what time it is. About 15 more minutes, unless someone super chats. I'll stay even longer on this Halloween version of the pod, right? Because Halloween's on Monday, and this is the last stream before Halloween. Someone donates nice amount. I'll stay longer. Any questions or any and all questions I'll answer. IRL, anime, women, politics, conspiracies, whatever. And once again, make sure to hit the like button. Appreciate it. Let's see. Any and all questions, folks? Thoughts on Kamala Harris? From what I do know of her, and I think most of you could tell I'm conservative more so than not. I'm more right-wing more so than not. I would say I'm like a right-wing centrist. But Kamala Harris, I think she has a bad rap sheet as far as her time as, I think it was a DA. She made some questionable decisions. I think she's kind of fake. I don't deem her the best vice president. That's basically my thoughts on her. I really haven't thought much of her. I mean, her and Biden are, to me, a joke. The fact that Biden won the election is comical. That's honestly my thoughts on both. So, Am I vastly knowledgeable on the specifics of these individuals? No, but I have a general idea. So that's my thoughts based on those ideas for sure. Politics is always an interesting rabbit hole. The idea of what is the right legislation, what are the right policies, what is the right way to go about something. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. It's a hell of a job if you're a politician, especially if you're a congressman or a Supreme Court justice or a president, something like that. Like having so much on your plate, Why do memories last but the person you ain't in your life anymore? Memories last, I think, if you want to talk about biologically, they last to serve as a lesson, maybe, for you not to repeat the same mistake, especially if someone's not in your life anymore. That generally implies that you had bad memories about them, and there are certain aspects of the situation that you don't want to repeat in the future with someone else. I think that's why memories last. They serve as a reference to past mistakes made. They serve as a reference to possibly good decisions made. Memories are very valuable in an empirical sense, and I guess in a moral sense, in a emotional sense as well. So, do you think cancel culture is appropriate? I do not. Now, this is what I do agree with. If a guy's talking shit, you have every right to shit on him. Kanye, anti-Semitic remarks. Sorry, man, but you're getting shit on because you deserve it. Now, cancel culture is different. I don't think you should cancel Andrew Tate. I don't think you can cancel Trump. I don't think you should cancel people on the left either. Feminists that say guys fucking suck. I don't want you to cancel them. They have every right to be on the platform, whatever it is, YouTube, whatever. Both sides should have a right to speak their mind. Freedom of speech inevitably leads to better solutions, inevitable discourse, even if it is hostile. It's necessary. It's necessary. There has to be a inclusion of all ideas, besides the obvious, like hate speech and shit, or trolling or some shit like that. But besides that, cancel culture is not appropriate in the vast instances of cases. It's not appropriate. You could fight these ideas, but you simply shouldn't just erase them because you don't like them, because it goes against your own ideology. It's tyrannical, especially something like YouTube or some Twitter eliminating individuals. By the way, I'm pretty sure Elon Musk finalized his deal with Twitter, so we might see some individuals come back, which I'm very looking forward to. So shout out to Elon Musk. That deserves a goated. So in layman's terms, cancel culture is a fucking joke. And ironically, cancel culture should be canceled. That should be canceled for good. Would you ever write a book? Maybe when I'm, in my golden years, I've lived my life. Why not? Just write a story about my perspective on life. Maybe I'll have enough established values to where I think I could share them with the world or something like that. Why not? Why women aren't into nerdy stuff like video games or anime as much as men? It's because women. What's the best way I can explain this? They're different. First of all, they're different. Men are instinctually more competitive. They cling more to ideas. Women cling more to people. They cling more to real world aspects. So biologically, men are going to be more driven or more appealed to something like video games, where you gotta beat the next guy, or anime, where you see these ideas of aggression and masculinity, and Goku, Vegeta, and Naruto. Women are more. They differ as far as that's concerned. They're appealed more to emotional spiking events, emotional spiking things. They're different, biologically different, hardwired a different way. It's the reason why most women like makeup. They're more into that thing, into image. Image is a big thing, especially physically. But image in general is very big to women, which is why I'll go ahead and say this. If people want to talk shit, it is what it is. Women walk around eggshells around each other more than men walk around eggshells around other men. You're hanging out with your fucking friends, you'll call someone a bitch. Like, yeah, you're a bitch. There's no issue. Women don't do that on the vast majority of instances. Women are like, oh, you look great in that dress, girl, when she's fat as fuck. Like, you're lying to your fucking friend. She's fat as fuck in that dress. She needs to hit the fucking gym. You're fucking capping. But a guy will say, oh man, you look fat as fuck. You are fat as fuck, my guy. No issue. You know, so that's the difference between men and women. That's the difference why women are appealed to one thing, men are appealed to the other. So, imagine tape videos in the early 2000s. Shit. It probably would have blown up and it probably never would have been canceled. You know. Oh, fuck. Do you know that Shaq now joins the list of NBA stars who believe the earth is flat? Come on, Shaq. You should know better than that. The level of influence can't be good for the masses who believe in that bullshit. I agree completely, 100,000%. That's fucking bullshit. Kyrie Irving, what the fuck, man? Shaq, what the fuck, man? All these other dudes, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're going to go against centuries of observational and empirical evidence that suggests curvature of the earth, that suggests celestial bodies outside the realm of our own earth, etc. You're going to deny that because of how you fucking feel? That's bullshit. That's like me saying I'm not going to take my, let's say for some reason I have some hypothetical illness and I have to take a hypothetical medication that's statistically proven to help me. I'm like, oh, I don't believe in it, so I'm not going to take it. Why don't you believe in it? Because I feel like it. I just don't feel it's right. The fuck is that? You're fucking delusional. Delusional. So, predictions for the future of dating. It's going to get worse. Women are going to be more selective. Women are going to have more options. More men are going to be ghosts. More men are going to be ostracized. More men are going to be miserable. So what's the best way to approach it as a guy? Improve every day. Push yourself every day. Avoid falling into that realm of fucking being a fucking ghost. You know, it's the best way. The only way. And there's really no way to turn back time now. We got the internet evolving, social media is evolving, you got fucking OnlyFans thoughts on the streets, you know, girls for the streets that are just embracing this street life. You can't help it. You can't stop it. You can only adjust to it. Predictions for the future of Boruto. I think Kawaki and Boruto are going to have more and more of a significant role, and I think Naruto and Sasuke are going to seemingly kind of get kicked out of the picture over time, and eventually they'll be fodder, and I hope they kill them off so they have a respectable ending and an honorable death. I don't want them to just be fucking losers and just be like fucking pathetic fodder that just sits on the sideline. That's really disrespectful. I hope they kill them off, honestly. How do we conquer laziness in today's generation? Discipline. And that's not an easy solution because it's hard to become a disciplined individual if your whole life you've been kind of complacent. But discipline is the only way to truly conquer it. So I would say discipline is by far the best way to conquer laziness. And it has to be promoted by guys like Tay or by guys that people look up to. Have we become lazier? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, with masculinity being demonized and with traits inherently being of masculinity being, you know, working hard, having ambition, having confidence, all that shit's dying. So alongside that, the probability of finding a guy like that is lower because it's not encouraged anymore. Encouragement doesn't take place anymore. Guys don't get praised for their success. You know, it's demonized to give guys a sense of confidence. It's like a bad thing to do for some reason, which is bullshit. What if Sasuke had Magito's powers and Naruto had Charles Xavier's powers? Naruto has Talk no Jutsu, and he would get in Sasuke's mind, Talk no Jutsu him, beat him. Imagine if Flat Earthers were the majority. My God, the world would go to shit if that happened. If you had a daughter, how would you raise her? Oh, shit. So this is all from my subjective lens, clearly. So I'd raise her to be classy, not a thought. Definitely wouldn't tolerate thought behavior, especially as long as you're living under my roof, at least. I want her to be like respectful, not a thought, not for the streets, and have a good eye for the right guy. I don't want her dating fucking losers. I want her to date the best guy possible. So I'll be vigilant. You know, she wouldn't be a thought for the streets. She wouldn't be dating losers. She wouldn't be risking pregnancy. None of that. She'd have to be careful. And I would make sure to encourage that to be a good woman, you know, in the future. What if Vegeta brought Nappa and Raditz back from the dead before the Battle of Gods? If they're as weak as they were when they would die, they'd be fucking useless. They'd be fodder. No more useful than Bulma, to be honest with you. So nothing would change. But if they have like a presupposed amp to their power that's similar to Vegeta and Goku will, they'd be greatly useful, not in that movie, but later on. So, all right, folks, about 5 more minutes. Unless again I get a nice super chat, then I'll stay longer. Again, thanks for all the super chats, coded. About 5 more minutes. Let's see here. Make sure to hit the like button as well. All right. Any and all questions are welcome, folks. Any and all. Okay. What do you think of Ichigo? Do you think he is a flat Stanley, or do you think more hollow than that? That's a good question. I would lean towards the former. I think hollow is like a small part of him that he uses to really reach new heights. But again, I haven't seen all of it yet. I've seen like clips, and I don't know what they entail of it. I don't want spoilers, but I've seen him using that ability a lot, at least to my knowledge. But I would lean towards the former. Another Halloween question: do you think ghost hunters actually have legit, tangible evidence? To be fair, I think most of them don't. I think it's all just smoke screens and bullshit. But I would say I do believe there probably is something like that somewhere. In the vast amount of instances that people say that where ghosts have been present, I wouldn't have a hard time believing that one of them was true. So maybe out there someone really does have some sort of evidence of some, existence that's beyond afterlife or something. This suggests life existing in dimensions that connect with ours. It could possibly, because clearly we have no idea what that means, right? Why is there ghosts? What the hell? Where are they from? Are they in a different dimension? What does this exactly entail of? So that wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility. That probably, if ghosts were a common occurrence, that probably would be some sort of theory that someone would come up with, amongst the greatest minds on Earth. So I would have no problem concluding that would be a possibility. So. All right, folks. Any questions and all questions? Any and all. Appreciate all the great questions, though, by the way, folks. You guys are goated for that. And again, thanks for all the donations. Appreciate that. Any and all questions. Any and all. I believe that, let's see here. If there's any other pre-live stream questions that I didn't answer. I don't think so. Let's see down here. Oh, here's one that I missed. If Floyd Mayweather was the same size as Mike Tyson, who would win in their primes? Great question. Floyd Mayweather would box the fuck out of Mike Tyson if they're the same size. He is the greatest defensive boxer I've ever seen in my life. Truly, it's not even a fucking exaggeration. He's the best defensive boxer I've ever fucking seen. Mike Tyson would be throwing punches in the air from Floyd, making him miss. And if Floyd's the same size as him, in his prime, Mike's getting shut down. Especially post-prison, when he's a shell of himself, when he's rusty, when he doesn't have his coach by his side anymore. Just want to say thanks again for the heat stream. I hope you have a great Halloween. Are you dressing up? Probably not. I'll just be, I guess, on the grind that day. On Monday, right? It was the Halloween. But appreciate it, brother. Thanks for coming in always, for sure. How do you live life without being affected by regrets? Swallow the L's that have to swallow. You take a hit on the chin. You take it on the chin. It is what it is. There's no point on regretting it. There's no point on running from it, shying from it. Just look at it for what it is and move on. The best way to avoid regrets is just taking risks, So that's the best way to live without being affected by regrets. To avoid them, and when you do take an L, accept it for what it is. Don't run from it. Don't shy away from it. Just accept it. And adjust so it doesn't happen again. Which one would you want if you were going into Naruto and needed quick power up? There's both travel for One Piece. What Which one would you want if you were going into the only thing I'm remotely familiar with, what you just said, is the devil fruit in One Piece. So probably that. And you said two, so I'll pick the next one you said, even though I don't know what that is because I'm probably not familiar with that. Tea or coffee? I don't drink tea. I stay away from caffeine, and it's harder said than done. Probably tea. Top 5 most go-to sandwiches of all time. Shit. If we're talking generics, I mean, ham and cheese never goes wrong. Peanut butter and jelly never goes wrong. Turkey with maybe Swiss cheese. The solid tuna sandwich isn't bad if it's made the right way, mixed with the right shit. And then I would say maybe like a shredded chicken type of sandwich with the right shit on it, the right, toppings. Probably those. Would you rather live in Japan or Africa or China or Russia? China's a communist state. I would have to go to school doing some shit I don't want to do, work for a company I don't want to work with. If I speak out of line, I get imprisoned or killed. So fuck that. Russia, it's at war. Africa would be interesting, but it is a third world country, and more than likely I would be in poverty. So probably Japan, technological advancements, etc. Yeah. Tuna sandwiches or meatball subs. It's tough. Probably tuna. I eat fish more than meat these days. Japan all day, for sure. If we wanted to get food, what would we be eating? You and everyone in the chat. I'm encouraging healthy shit, so it'll be like a fucking salad or something. Salad and some chicken or something like that. Tuna sandwiches are goated for sure. Philly cheesesteaks and hamburgers are my fave. Those are goated. What would your sanbakto be? The most cold sanbakto that I've seen up to date. I mean, it's hard not to go with Ichigo's, man. The one that he has originally when he first becomes a substitute Soul Reaper. That sanbakto is pretty cold. It looks cold. The very personality of it's cold. Probably that one. Imagine the United States had Japan technological advancements. There's some things I feel like it could do, like the bullet train. Like, why the fuck is that not instilled in U.S. Rail systems? That shit goes like 300 miles an hour. Get to point A to point B. Get from across state lines in a few minutes. Or maybe not a few minutes, but if it's a 6-hour time with the car, it'd be cut in half at least. So, and it's constant speed. It's not like stopping, like stop, go, stoplight. Like, it's constant. So that would be amazing if they implemented a bullet train of some sort, for sure. No doubt about that. But all right, folks, a couple more questions. I said it like 20 times, but for real this time. Unless someone donates decent or super chat, and I'll stay longer. A couple more questions though, for Halloween. Fuck it, Halloween, for the Halloween vibes. From what I know, Japan isn't that welcoming to outsiders, but it would be a slow transition into a friend group with Japanese people. True. You'd be an outcast for sure. No doubt about that. Would you be no Chiho or Saiyan? If we're talking about potential of what I'm capable of, Saiyan, easy. I mean, fuck, if I can have God Ki, I'm universal. The military, no human form of law enforcement would be able to stop me. Not that I would be a malevolent being, but I'd be omnipotent to these people. What the Saiyans would be in real life. They'd be fucking omnipotent to everybody. Chiho would be cool though. I mean, I would have some sort of precog, maybe have my own specific unique ability with my own MS, shit like that. But Saiyan for sure. Alright, folks. About one or two more, and I shall depart. Any and all questions, folks. Any and all. But as you guys asked that, favorite saga of DBZ? That's a tough one. I really enjoyed the Cell saga. I really enjoyed how they built up his lore and the type of person, or I guess malevolent being he was. How he slowly climbed up the totem pole, went from competing with Piccolo to fucking fatherizing the Z fighters and having to have Gohan fucking go Super Saiyan 2 and go all out. you know, it's pretty fucking legendary. Boo is cold too, man. Boo is cold. It's hard. I might lean slightly towards Cell though, slightly. Do you think aliens would find it weird we go into a semi-comatose every day? Shit, they might. Imagine they don't sleep. But what the fuck are they wasting their time? We don't have this genetic predisposition. We don't need rest. We're fucking. You know, we have unlimited energy, so probably. Who would you rather teach you, Yoruichi or my guy? My guy. He's that guy. Yoruichi's cool, but my guy's a better teacher in my opinion. Which squad do you think is the best? The Konoha 11 or the Z Fighters or Ichigo's friends? Best fighters, like as far as best squad in terms of power, clearly the Z Fighters. As far as versatility, probably Konoha 11. And Ichigo's friends, what do they have the best aspect in? They have the best, let's see, they have very good teamwork. Not to say that Konoha 11 don't, but they work very, very well together. So, Chad from Bleach is the ultimate Chad. Literally, the guy. He's that guy. Goku was trying. Could he defeat Cell? No. I think he knew his limitations. And even though some people criticize him and say, why would you let your son fight this fucking monster? Because he couldn't beat him. Only Gohan could. That's why. Simple as that. Cell was trying, but he was stronger than Goku. He was stronger. But alright, folks, I think that'll wrap it up unless someone super chats. But some final announcements. In the next couple weeks, I'm making a Dragon Ball related original video. Hopefully the next couple weeks I'm done with that. The scripting's nearly complete. I want to post it. I want to take my time with it, so it's very well edited, shit like that. I'm trying to plan some more debates. A fun story I tell you. I almost debated a random dude on one of the forums I was on. I told him, I forgot what we were debating. I think it was like Obito versus, no, it wasn't Obito. It was Kakashi versus Seven Gates Guy or something like that. And we were debating that. I said, come on my Discord. We'll debate it right now, because I was just in the mood. Didn't happen though. I mean, he pussied out. But I'm trying to plan a debate. Maybe I'll find someone that is not like, you know, not exactly a supporter of mine or, you know, part of the family. Someone outside, so they don't have like that idea of me and we fight, we go at it. Someone to debate me somewhere, anime related. I want to get that done. Original content, and I'm going to think of new possibilities with the stream. New like ideas, shit like that. So yeah, folks, there's things coming. If you have any recommendations as far as the format of the podcast, let me know in the Discord or below. That's gonna wrap it up, folks. Thanks to Luis, Sean, all you guys for coming in, brothers, and all the great questions. One more time for all the goats out there and for all the super chats and for all the questions in general. And for anyone that watched, appreciate you guys. And make sure to hit the like button, like Sean said. Happy Halloween, everybody, and I will catch you in the next video. It's Jay the Ray signing out. Peace out, folks.